Hello and good evening.
I was really stumped as to what to play in the background for this because I was thinking about doing the Persona 5 clinic music, but now like the gunshot music actually sounds more like clinic music than like I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. Persona 5 has got a weird soundtrack.
Yeah,
But, I
everybody
like
seems to
weird
love the
music.
shit out of it for some reason.
We have a voyeur in the call today.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
not here to actually contribute to the episode. He's just listening on this because he wants to listen to us live, and he doesn't. He's not a good subscriber. He doesn't want to watch the videos.
I watch. I'm
It's
kneecap's an amazing game.
Ouch.
So here we are. We're doing the Progenitors, where we've put off this episode twice. We're finally doing it live now. We're doing it now.
Yep.
Yeah,
We're
so,
making
I
people.
just want to say something real quick. Blame Johnny. I
Because
told him. He told me not to hold back with my character, and I will go for killing shots. With
you talking about Mage 1936.
Oh,
There we go.
Jesus Christ,
he told me not
again.
to hold back. He told me not to hold back. I will go for killing shots.
You don't know how to do the meta builds.
I will go.
but-
I will.
It's like Greed makes a meta build and he denies it, is what he does. Where the birds that he made for the Mage the Ascension game were on par with who were the foot soldiers of the Sabbat? A Bruja Templar is what they were on par
Oh
with.
God, no! Fuck no! They weren't. They had 3 health levels. Shut the hell up.
They have free health levels. So yeah, that's after 3 minutes. So now we can swear, right? So looking at all the stuff we got with the Progenitors, what made this video a little hard to make was just because of how weird the structure of the Progenitors book is, where most of the history with these books is pretty linear. With the first edition Progenitors book, I was looking at this and it took me about 5 pages in before I began to realize I didn't really read a word of what I just read. Where I could not discern what was character opinion and what was fact. I could not discern that with the Progenitors book. It was the Children of Gaia book all over again, Kyle, when it came to reading the Progenitors book, first edition. So this is the one time I'm going to say take the second edition of Progenitors over the first, where it pains me to say that, but I feel like, yeah, the revised book for the Progenitors actually does work this time around, because I don't feel like any ideas were trampled over going from first and second edition, and there was a little bit of wonkiness to the Progenitors book where these guys are the evil that doesn't know it's evil anymore, where you had good intentions, you wanted to help people, you wanted to save the world, you believed in a clean, pure, healthy, free America. Not just America, the world in general. But the crew that you traveled with has poisoned your mind and poisoned your water so thoroughly, you don't realize just how bad you've become.
You started hanging out with all the drug addicts after school.
Where, Kyle, between the 3 groups of the Technocracy, not kind of Void Engineers, because the Void Engineers are never around on the Earth. Like, when are you ever going to encounter a Void Engineer in your game? But let's be real here. So, not counting the Void Engineers, not counting the Progenitors, which of the 3 of the Technocrats would you say is the bad apple, spoiling the bunch?
Oh, the New World Order, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Ryan, you agree with that idea?
Yes.
Absolutely. Where you look at how the Technocracy is structured, the NWO is front and centered. There would not be a Technocracy if the NWO was not pulling the weight it did. That
I
group,
would say the rich bastards are the ones responsible for most of the evil.
That entire group would fall apart, and Iteration X is right behind them too, because Iteration X is the sycophantic yes man going along with whatever the NWO wants. The Syndicate's pushing back. The Progenitors want to push back, but this entire faction just doesn't have the stones to say what it wants to say. So they just go along with whatever the NWO wants to tell them. And that comes up multiple times in their history too.
I mean, it also comes up in the Syndicate book as well, where it's like, dude, we just want to make some money. That's literally all we want to do.
Where I think when we did the Syndicate episode, I called it, where if the Technocracy was to divide, it would be the NWO in Iteration X versus the Syndicate and Progenitors. And then the Void Engineers would just follow wherever they want, because it feels like it's a house divided, but the 2 groups that are leading the divided houses are too comfortable where they are to actually start up anything with the other house. You know, something the modern day American political climate. where you'll take shots at each other, but you're not willing to strangle each other over your ideas yet.
Yeah, it's like it's like the meme of like the the businessman and the worker like pulling on opposite ends of a rope, and then the communist joins the business owner, and like some other guy comes join the worker, and he's like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's how it's working right now. and okay, let's start off the Persona 5 music so I can focus. You ready for some history?
Yes, let's history.
All right. Do you want some ancient history?
Yeah, we got to start somewhere.
All right, well, fuck you. You don't get it. You just don't get it with the Progenitors.
Actually?
Yeah, no.
There is no history.
They say, they just come to you and say, we're not going to sugarcoat you. We're not going to BS you like the NWO and the Iteration X and the Syndicate did. We're not going to say, oh, we were founded the first time somebody built a wheel, or the first time somebody traded a stone for a stick. The Progenitors tell it like it is and said, no, we were not a thing until 1325. That just didn't happen. Where there were people out in the world that thought like us, that did magic like us, that had the same paradigm and ideas as us, but we were not a group until the convention was called, where the Technocracy, Order of Reason was formed. But you had groups that went around like they called themselves the Causian Circle and Hippocratic Circle, where these were physicians that used what little they knew about medicine to try their best to help people. Where sure, you had a lot of bad ideas. You said, oh, you got too much blood in your system. Let's get that blood out of you. Oh, you got this sickness here. Let's just pour this entire bottle of liquor down your throat. It might not have worked, but they at least tried. That's the whole thing. Like, even if the treatment didn't work, you still gave it your best effort, and you were still trying to do good for these people. That sounds pretty noble, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah. Do no harm.
Let's see. Have you ever gone down the rabbit hole of Chinese herbal medicine?
No, but they did invent vaccines.
No.
Where you got all this stuff where it turns out China would actually be a pretty good place to pinpoint where the Progenitors would have begun, because you had all these guys going around the apothecaries saying, hey, we discovered this plant, it's called ginseng. It does this for your muscles and for your energy. I think we should put this in our diet. And then we have the goji berries, and then we have astragalus. We have turmeric, and they start finding these, cultivating them, collecting them, and then they sell them to people. And people that are sick, if they take this, tend to get better. And that's what kind of starts the foundation of what would become the Progenitors. And then those doctors would go talk to those doctors, and those ideas would spread from Asia to Asia Minor, to Europe, to the Middle East, to Africa, to the point where you had pagan Middle East doing eye surgery back in the day. I figured out how to fix that. I figured, hey, what's the best way to make your hair healthier? Put some urine in it. It sounds disgusting, but we actually have the healthiest hair. Sacrifices you make, right?
It's like the guy that puts mayonnaise in his hair for some reason.
I'll let bet Big Ed.
Yes.
He goes around and he smells like an egg salad all day.
Gross.
Yep.
And they didn't really form a group until, say, this loose group called the Causian Circle formed around the 4th century, where really these were guys that just sat around and talked to each other and said, hey, we have a sickness. Does anyone know how to cure this? I think I have an idea. And then they traded ideas, and that's basically what it was. And then the Celestial Chorus came in the 4th century and said, hey, you don't need to put that in you. We can just do faith healing instead, which pissed the Progenitors off to no end. And they still have this bitter rivalry going on with the Celestial Chorus, where they really want to disprove faith healing, like the whole cases of, we're going to cure my baby's cancer by praying and singing over the baby. The Progenitor saying, no, get your baby to a hospital. What are you doing? Time is of the essence. You're wasting time with this. Because with that kind of miracle healing, count how many people have died because they thought that was going to work.
I think there's actually like a record number of it, at least in the Midwest.
And you have cases like in Taiwan where you have somebody that forms a little like cult, and they say, oh, if you give us your big stack of money that we're going to give to a doctor, we're going to give you a medical cure that will cure your family member of this illness, and then they die anyway, and then they say, oh, and then the cult just disappears to ghost them. The Progenitors are trying to prevent stuff like that from happening. And when the Roman Empire collapses, the Caucasian Circle just dissolves, where their Western members went into hiding, the Eastern members split off into different guilds. By the time of Emperor Justinian, only one Caucasian Circle existed by that point. And then by that point, any sort of organization ended with the Justinian Plague, and it was just a bunch of guys that were going around keeping the lights on, and probably would have just faded into obscurity, or they would have still been around, but just as a small group of hedge mages and fringe witches until the Ivory Tower comes around and holds this gigantic convention where they say, we're going to form the Order of Reason. We've heard of these guys that do this medical magic using science instead of this faith shit. So we're going to go invite them to it. They gather all these mages into one place and say, all right, you are now the Hippocratic Circle. And they say, well, what do we do? And they say, this is what you were doing before, but this time we're going to have your back. We're going to sponsor you. Oh, that sounds great. Thank you, Ivory Tower. Yeah, that sounds great. Here, do this, this, and this for me first. Wait, what? Where the Progenitors say to themselves, for their first 100 years of existence, they didn't really do what they wanted to do in the Order of Reason. They just did what the NWO, at the time it was the Ivory Tower, told them to do, and they just did it. They didn't do any sort of resistance to it. Where they formed a university called, I think it's called the Kraken House, where that was their first real chantry. That was this giant university that focused on medicine, and medicine first and foremost, and they cured diseases, but they didn't really get to do anything with it. It was just a place for them to meet and have their yearly and quarterly meetings until eventually a guy says, I have the cure for the Black Plague. And the guy says, what? What'd you do it at? At the Kraken House. Well, how long did it take you to do it? 4 years. Well, why are we doing what the Ivory Tower wants us to do? Let's make some medicine. They start going around. They finally get themselves back into the groove and they start making some medicine again. Where now there's a union between them. Whereas this group going around, they're birthing babies, they're making sure livestock is healthy, they're field researching, making sure they're following where plagues are going, how the plague spreads, and then they cut off the spread of the plague, where they probably won't be able to heal the people that are sick with that plague, but it'll at least be able to stop the healthy from getting it. And that's, part of what counts. Sometimes there's just a disease that you just can't do anything about, and the Progenitors say, that's on us. We tried our best, but we just didn't have the technology or the knowledge at the time to do it. And everything is pretty good for a while. It sounds like these are some pretty heroic guys.
Yeah,
and
they're good.
They have 4 different houses, by the way. Very much like the Order of Hermes, ironically. Let's see.
Kind of like Hogwarts.
Yeah. And there's 4 houses too, Ryan.
Oh boy.
Where we have the first house, the House of Mandrake, which is herbalism and agriculture. Your farmer mage, so to speak. Where, behold, we have this potato famine. Well, what's causing that? And then they research, well, how do we prevent the potato famine? And then they find out what it is. They research it. They manage to, back in the day, it's cut off the source of the plague. But nowadays, it'll be something along the lines of, we created a genetically modified potato that is now immune to the disease. And behold, you've helped people. House number 2, the House of Fire. These are field scientists who are tracking and eradicating plagues, what I described earlier. The Houses of Knives, the pioneers of surgery. Well, really at the time it was autopsy, but with all that information they gathered, they eventually figured out, if I do this to them while they're alive, then it should help them. And sure enough, it helped. It was barbaric at the time, but it was something. And then, this is one that's weird. The Phylaxoi. You spell that Phylaxoi is how you spell that.
The Feng Shui?
Now, what do you think these guys do?
I believe I read from your notes, they're basically combat medics in a sense.
Where you Ryan, you have Netflix, don't you? No, you don't have Netflix, do you?
I do have Netflix.
Let's see. Did you watch King on Ashura?
Which one was that?
Let's see. That's the fighting anime. It was like the whole anime was like, it's just a tournament and only a tournament.
Oh, it was the guy that was like, I gotta be exiled because of something, and then the underground found him.
Yes.
Yeah, I started to watch that, but I didn't finish it.
Did you get to watch Hajime Hanafusa fight?
That's the whole reason I decided to watch it.
What was that fight?
Was that fight so that I could watch that fight, and I didn't.
So, let's fill in Kyle as to what we're talking about for this, just to give you an example as to how this group works. All right. So, for example, Kyle, have this guy up on the. Let's see here. Did I not copy his image? I love it when my computer just doesn't copy the image for no reason. All right, this guy. All right, now, Kyle, this is good character design, right? You can tell what this guy's supposed to be, right?
A jackass? Yes.
Now, what he's done is that he's a fighting surgeon called a dissector, where, with his intense knowledge on medicine, he fights basic, where he's attacking your pressure points, cutting off your nerves and your muscles. He's hitting you in the right spot that prevents you from raising your sword and attacking him, or getting away from him in a fight. But if that doesn't work, he can get to start breaking your bones, where he knows just how to push or pull on a joint or a bone to snap it in the right spot. He's not going to waste his time doing it. He's just going to grab you, and then this break is immediate. There's no save to it. But then if that doesn't work, then he can get into really crazy stuff, such as performing a surgery on himself that gives himself a corpus callositomy, where he splits the left and right half of his hemisphere of his brain, preventing him from feeling pain. Or he does it with your brain. Or he performs a fringe surgery where he takes one of the forearm bones in his arms and so turns it into a switchblade, where he's got the full like Assassin's Creed dagger coming out of his palm made out of his own bone. That kind of stuff. That's what the Flaxoid do. Where it's a knight that knows where to hit you, and he's not going to miss his shot. He's not some sort of warrior who's going at you, flailing his axe around, hoping he hits you in the right spot. This is a guy that the minute he makes that attack roll, something is going to break, or something's going to come off of you.
He's a Diet Zamichi.
Where it's the Zamichi. These are guys that know how to hunt down the Zamichi, because you just put one of these guys in front of a Zamichi, give him a second to look over his body, and he says, I know where your head is, I know where your heart is, I know how to fight you now.
Yeah. But I would like to say this here. You can know where the heart of a werewolf is. You still have to stab the werewolf.
Yeah, you still have to have the stats to break through the guard, but these guys know what they're doing when it comes to fights. Along with it, they're helping protect the other houses from being killed, and more often than not, end up being bodyguards for the Ivory Tower agents. And then we have the massive, you guess it, Kyle, the giant gap in history where nothing happens in Mage. So,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
you know, so many books have this.
Happened.
We're just like from the Renaissance period to the 19th century, just nothing happens.
Classic.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I love it.
Give the writers a break. They had like 5 different to work with.
And there's only so much page space you can put into. Where we're now at the point where we don't really need to bring up any particular name to anything. There's no Vormos or any character like that in the Progenitors. So we can just talk about this in broad strokes. So the 19th century come around, and Galenic theory is abandoned. This whole we can just cure you with blood, just bleeding you out. No, that's a stupid idea. Why did we ever believe in that idea in the first place? What other stupid ideas do we believe in? And they look over at the Sons of Ether. What is your opinion on the Sons of Ether?
They eyed, I guess. I mean, they had Ben Franklin.
Are you sure they're all right?
This is World of Darkness. I doubt they're all right.
That's true.
Because the Progenitors tell like it is. They say, no, the Society of Ether was always holding the Technocracy back, and it's to the Technocracy's benefit that they're gone. Because what these guys were doing back in the day in the 19th century is that they were going around and talking about phrenology, eugenics, where the Sons of Ether were out talking on the street about how white people are genetically superior to black people, and then we're pulling up like pie charts and graphs to prove it. And then right next to those Sons of Etherites were nuclear accelerationists that said, let's go ahead and let's build the bombs, and we could create a weapon of ultimate destruction. And the Progenitors look at this, and this is what kind of leads to like the whole like fracturing with the Sons of Ether, because the Progenitors just get absolutely sick to damn death of the Sons of Ether and their shit during this time. And they say, well, we're going to get in front of the curb with Sons of Ether, because the Sons of Ether's job back in the day was they were the ones who controlled what was in consensus for scientific discussion. They were the magazine editor, the journal editor, the teachers at the universities telling you what to believe in. The progenitors decided that they're going to undercut them entirely, and they're going to put their own theories in place, like germ theory and genetics instead of eugenics, where they're going to say, no, this whole racial superiority thing is stupid. There is no superior race. But there is genetic differences, and we're going to tell you what the haplogroup actually is. And they would sit down at the universities and actually tell kids what it actually meant to be German, to be French, what those differences actually meant, and how they didn't prove that you were above or below anyone. They said that germs are real, that bacteria and viruses are around, and that's why you need to wash your hands. And don't need to push that. I mean, the fucking technocrat. Are you telling me the Sons of Ether weren't telling people to wash their fucking hands?
I mean,
now that I think about it,
that's what it sounds like. Yeah,
they wash their hands of their sins.
The Sons of Ether are going into the lab right after defecating, and wiping. Oh man. And in 1851, the Technocratic Union formed, where the Hippocratic Circle at the time renamed themselves the Asclepian Order, where they immediately throw that name out a few years later and called themselves the Progenitors. So glad we called ourselves that for such a short period of time. And while this is going on, while the Sons of Ether are going around promoting the stupid ideas of eugenic sexism and other atrocities, the Progenitors are going to look at the Sons of Ether and say, bro, what the fuck are you guys doing? Seriously, what the fuck are you doing? And the Sons of Ether are saying, oh, we're making dinosaurs again. A Progenitors are saying, okay, but why? Why are we doing this? The Sons of Ether say, for science. And the Progenitors say, okay, well, what's going to happen if the dinosaurs get out? Have you thought about that? Jurassic Park isn't a movie yet, but what are you going to do when that Tyrannosaurus Rex escapes your captivity and runs around and finds a village and eats people in it? And Sons of Ether say, we're going to cross that bridge when we come to it. You can imagine how much that infuriates the Progenitors.
Like, I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs.
Where the Progenitors are saying, why aren't you guys focusing on doing the right thing instead of just doing science for the sake of science? What did we learn from this experiment? Oh, we learned not to do that again. I'm so glad we spent all that money for that experiment. There's a bunch of fucking idiots in their eyes.
Yep.
And eventually they got what they wanted with the microsome experiment, where it wasn't the Progenitors who sabotaged it, but the NWO and Iteration X did, where the microsome experiment was sabotaged, and the Sons of Ether, with their thick skin, just quit the entire Technocracy and went over to the Traditionalist, and the Progenitors said, thank God we don't have to talk to those idiots anymore. Oh, it's the best thing that's ever happened to us. It's the best day ever, isn't it? Okay, now back to the real issues of helping people again. What happens after they leave? World War I. What happens during that period?
Huge stalemate and fuckloads of people, die in a pointless war.
Where that happens, and the NWO goes to the Progenitors and say, all right, we dropped the ball. We're sorry. We thought this Empire game was going to go into our favor. We miscalculated. Then the Fondi infiltrated us. We're going to fix it. And the Progenitors looking around saying, guys, what did you just create? Oh, that's mustard gas. Why? And then they look over it and they start developing all these different cures for gas attacks, where chemical warfare is now a thing. And the Progenitors are trying to create cures for the gas attacks. And then what happens after that? Oh no, Spanish flu. So they're over here clearing Spanish flu. The Dust Bowl. Okay, but now we're going to go run over to America. Now we have to help all these agricultural specialists get their farming back on track. And then that causes issues in the United Kingdom and in Germany. And then the syndicate starts freaking out about everything going to shit in Europe again. So what they have to do, the Progenitors have to turn to the Iteration X and say, hey, we're really stunned as to what to do about the Dust Bowl. You guys got any ideas? How about mechanized farming? Interesting idea. What's that? They start combining that, and they start inventing stuff like in hand with the Iteration X, like the cotton gin, for example, and the Reaper, and the Combine, and what other farming equipment can you name?
I don't know.
Because as it turns out, that's not Iteration X invention. That's actually a Progenitor experiment. Actually, one of their inventions.
Yeah, there you
go. Ryan, have you ever driven a tractor before?
Yes.
You might be a progenitor.
I am not.
Yeah.
I'll be up on my zero turn shit. I'm progenitor as fuck. I'm a pro
Progenitors are
shit.
country only, and I am not country.
What you thought was a progenitor was a guy in a lab coat with goggles, but what it actually was the meme of the guy saying it ain't much, but it's honest work.
True.
That's an actual progenitor. So, all this is going on where the progenitors are saying, all right, we're getting back on track. I sure hope a genocide doesn't happen in Europe. Oh no, World War II happens. And what's going on with the NWO during this time? It's like the Nefandi infiltrated them, and then the NWO and the Syndicate and Iteration X were all helping Nazi Germany around this time.
They were like, oh, hey, look at this cool new empire. This will surely reinvigorate our whole empire game we were trying to do with World War I, and it totally didn't fuck up and kill millions of people.
So what did the progenitors do during this time? Take a guess.
Probably using children from the Holocaust as human test subjects.
Now, the progenitors denied that. The progenitors actually deny that. They say that was the Nefandi that did that. Where,
sure.
What the progenitors did is that they went to their labs, locked the doors, nobody got in, nobody got out. If they could step sideways into the Umbra, they did. And they said, we don't know what's going on. This is just a mess that we are doctors. We're not warriors. We have the Phylexoi, but we're not that good in the battlefield. We know how to kill a guy with pressure points and the whole feng shui assassination techniques. We don't know how to handle a man with a machine gun. So we're just going to lock the doors, close the doors, and just wait for this to blow over. Do you agree with that reasoning?
Well, I mean, yeah, if you're like a non-combatant, you probably want to hide from the war.
Because it's knowing when to fold them. It's that you really did not have an answer for anything that you were doing. And while they were away, the Nefandi impersonated the progenitors, and then you had guys like Joseph Mengele going around pretending to be the progenitors while actually doing a whole bunch of Nefandi shit that empowered their dark forces and the worm. And then the Ephemeris came in, cleaned up their mess, and then World War II went over, and the NWO said, good God, what were we thinking? Is everyone still alive? And every progenitor came out and said, yeah, we're still here. You guys okay? Yeah, we're okay now. So we're going to try to clean this up the best we can. Progenitors, you just go back to doing what you were doing. They give a thumb up, and the progenitors look around and say, okay, what are we going to do? It's the Cold War now. What other things are there to do? And they're looking around, and what's going on in America around this time? 1960s, this guy called Martin Luther King, who's promoting equal rights. Oh, that actually sounds like a good idea. Maybe that will finally disprove this bullshit that the Sons of Ether pushed. So, ironically enough, the progenitors actually went in and supported the hippie movement and promoted all this free love and free speech kind of deal, where they were rubbing shoulders with the children of Gaia during that time. And if a guy OD'd in the middle of that hippie crowd, they had their whole first aid kit ready, and they went over and they revived a hippie who OD'd. And then the NWO came in and said, no, you can't do that. We're going to make all this stuff illegal. And the progenitors said, oh, okay, party's over, I guess. And all just packed up and left after that happened.
It seems like the progenitors are just an abusive relationship with the NWO.
But they just can't say no to these guys is their biggest issue. Where you see good people in here, but they just can't say no to these guys. And what happens in the 1990s? A bioethics board is formed, where now we need an entire council of doctors to give you a birth certificate for you to be considered a living being. And while this is going on, the Technocracy, the NWO goes over to the progenitors and says, hey, we like all the stuff that you're doing, but we think we're going to put more money towards Iteration X. And they say, well, why is that? Well, because Iteration X introduced this. And then they unveiled a curtain, and behold, Kyle, the hit mark. This is where the trumpets play in the background. Where when you invent the Terminator, you're going to get somebody's attention.
Yeah, that'd do some damage.
And they said, not only are we going to pull funding from some of your projects, but we're going to pull some of your staff away from your main labs, and we're going to assign them with Iteration X. so they can build fake synthetic skin and teach the robots how to pretend to be people. Does that sound good? Okay, good. It sounds good. You don't get to say no. And the progenitors, once again, just let it happen.
Yep.
And kind of what happens in 1999 again?
The end of the Week at Nightmares?
Yes, the Week of Nightmares happens where the dimensional anomaly, aka the Sixth Great Maelstrom, happens, destroys the Far Horizon realms, stations, and creates Threat Null. And the Technocracy is looking around saying, well, there went our computer, and there went our plans for world domination with it. Progenitors, what, did you lose anything? And the Progenitors said, no, we were in Umbra. Again, that's where we go to hide when something bad happens. Once again, the Progenitors suffered no losses. And they thought, okay, well, maybe now we can approach the NWO and tell them, hey, maybe we know what we're doing and maybe we should be given the driver's keys for a change. No, they get denied, and it's back to supporting the Iteration X. You know, the same Iteration X that created Threat Null is now threatening the entire world with the shit that they've made.
There's a reason
everybody
not in charge. We can talk shit about the NWO. They deserve it, but they are the retard wranglers.
And now the progenitors are like spirit broken during this time, where modern consensus with them is that we have all the stuff that we want to do, but the NWO just won't let us do it. Where the younger scientists are doing field work and they're running hospitals and doing healthcare, trying to do the best they can, while the older cynical members of the progenitors have just given up and have locked themselves in the Horizon realms and said, we're just going to do what we do. We're going to create the cancer cure and the eternal life potion, and we're just going to make that for the higher-ups. You kids do what you want to do, but we know we're going to end up in the same place as us. And that's where the story kind of peters out with the progenitors.
Back to being, the abused office employee with some good intention.
Where you look at the progenitors and their relationship with the other conventions of the Technocracy, it's pretty one-sided, isn't it? It's all take no give when it comes to their relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Where with Iteration X wants to strangle the life out of the progenitors in order to get attention from the NWO and Syndicate. They don't believe in what the progenitors believe, where it's not even going to be a civil war. It's just going to be one day Iteration X is going to turn up on the progenitors, and the progenitors are just going to run. And that's all that's going to happen. The NWO won't let the progenitors do jack shit unless it gets their approval. And then when they do get their way, the Syndicate comes over and says, hey, we're going to make some money off of what you just made. Where a lot of this whole insurance, evil insurance company shit, that's the Syndicate doing that, not the progenitors.
Yep.
Where these are guys that just want to do the right thing, but they just don't have the guts to say it. Where Eden in our server wants to constantly compare the progenitors to the glassworkers, but in all honesty, the children of Gaia have more in common with the progenitors than the glassworkers do.
The progenitors seem like they actually just want to help people.
Where
Even though the relationships say a lot differently about it, but that's mostly just what they're working on.
Yeah.
I would call the progenitors in line with the wild, because I promise you, you let the progenitors off the leash, they'll be trying to make fucking chimera dragons. Where
they have those already, but they're in captivity. These are the same guys that brought the Bunyip back to life. The Bunyip exists, dude. They're all the whole Seekers of Lost Clans camp that the Children of Gaia have. There's no point to it existing because the progenitors have already done that.
I just want to, Johnny, you like to bring that up, and you really do, but no spirit's ever going to take them.
They're not. No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't have in our 3.5 project the Bunyip be playable, because they just don't have souls anymore because Gaia didn't make them. Where yes, you have a walking, talking Bunyip, but they don't have the ability to step sideways or take totems or take gifts anymore. So,
what if you were to implant a spirit in a Bunyip body?
Yeah, as Werewolf players, you guys should know the ability to step sideways is not innate to Werewolf. That's a gift to changing breeds. That's not innate to anyone.
Yeah, you get that from Gaia. You get that from Luna, where you just don't do this because I can turn into an animal now that I can do this. Well, and if that was the case, every gang group would have that.
That'd be kind of sick, not gonna lie.
That sounds terrifying.
No, that's the last thing you need for a country Gangrel Sabat member to have too.
Yeah, that'd be terrifying.
They just jump out of the Umbra, and then a guy that looks like Seth Brundle's The Fly comes and attacks you.
Yep. That'd be rough. But yeah,
Where-
so like the progenitors make a lot of scary shit for the technocracy, but also at the end of the day, they're also just like, we just want to make medicine, dude.
They want to do the right thing, but they just don't have the guts to really put their foot down about it. You compare and contrast them with the Children of Gaia. The Children of Gaia are in a good spot, aren't they? Because the old men and the Silver Fangs are about to die, and the Shadow Lords are going to fail. It's going to be inevitable, and the Children of Gaia will be there to say, I told you so, with their progressive ideas, and they're going to win with love and energy, and that's how they're going to pull it around. There's a hope with the Children of Gaia, but it's the same issue with the Camarilla. The Progenitors made the pill that makes you live forever, and they gave it to the NWO, and the NWO is not going to go anywhere because of them.
Then they just, if they do manage to, they just regrow the body in a tank and then put their brain in it.
That's where, thanks to you not saying no to these guys, you've created your own abusive relationship because you enabled the guy who's abusing you. And now it's at the point where you cannot survive without your abuser.
Here's the thing, though. I believe that, despite the impending apocalypse always around the corner in these games, I think that there is a neutral end theory to this, where even if one of the other traditions were to fall to the technocracy, that would just get back in the way of the progenitors, and they'd be in the same pissed off position as they were back when the Sons of Ether were still a part of the tradition. They would go, you know what? Fuck this. I'm sick of you guys. We're gonna go be traditionalists.
Yep. Because if there was a group that was going to defect, it would be the Progenitors. But I honestly blame the Sons of Ether being traditionalist is the reason why the Progenitors won't leave the Technocracy. Because you have to deal with those motherfuckers again. And you don't want to do that. After you spent however many years, you spent the last 200 years cleaning up the mess that they refuse to clean up. And these guys have no accountability for anything that they do.
The Sons of Ether, yes, I'm calling them the Sons of Ether, are nicknamed the Mad Scientists for a reason.
They do this shit with no accountability. Where, Kyle, how did Jurassic Park end?
A whole bunch of people got eaten, and then everybody got on a plane and left, or a helicopter.
How did The Fly end?
With what's his name? What was the actor's name?
Seth Brundle.
Was it Seth Brundle, or was it something? Steve Blum?
It's Jeff Goldblum was the actor.
Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, it ended with Jeff Goldblum, as a fly going, "Help me, help me."
And how did RoboCop end?
With RoboCop still having no idea who he is or what he is, and then realizing that everything that he once cared about is gone, but still an indestructible cyborg.
And wouldn't it have been good in any of these situations if there was just one progenitor that said, "No, you're not doing this"?
Yeah, probably.
At any point, but like somebody's life would have improved. Now, granted, we wouldn't have a story if they did that. But think of just the time and money and lives that you would save if you just had a guy that would put your foot down, like the progenitors did with the Sons of Ether, but couldn't bring themselves to do with the NWO.
Yeah.
That's the whole threat that they're in. And structure, how exactly do the progenitors work? Like a university, it's the exact same as university, Kyle. It's the exact same. It's the exact same.
You've got a president of the university, and you've got like a dean of admission. You got you got
the directors.
Professors. Yep.
You've got the researchers. You got the investigators.
You got department
and then
heads.
And then all their new initiates they call students. Where these are guys that are going in for master's and PhD programs that are absolutely genius students that they get from the universities, and then they bring them in and slowly recruit them into the technocracy. Stammered a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So not much to think about, but I describe it like you understand what it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now let's talk about the methodologies. You love this section of the episode.
Yeah. What do we do? How do we do it?
we get to talk about the micro methodologies. So we're going to start off with the miscellaneous group first, where these are guys that just don't really fit in with any specific methodology. Where they're veterinarians, they're farmers, they're ecologists, geologists, paleontologists. Name an ologist and just put them in this category. That's what it is. So, zoologist, toxicologist, vaccinologist, anything out there that's like that you have to have a master's or a doctor's degree to have.
The study of Ryan.
Yeah, or rhinologist.
Ryans.
So, you don't find out why everybody's naming their kid Ryan these days.
Oh, Ryan's.
Why not? He's a cool kid.
Yeah.
Where also you got
right.
psychopharmacologists in this, where if you want to know who's helping the Malkavians get their chill pills, it's these guys.
That'd be interesting.
The NWO is actually doing something sneaky with these guys, because they're saying, hey, this guy's about to ascend and become a mage, give him this prescription and it'll stop him from doing that.
That is the main evil thing that they do.
Yeah. Whereas it turns out you get a pill that prevents you from seeing God. That crazy shit like that.
Yeah, it's messed up.
And the atheist pill.
The Reddit pill is what we'll call it.
They literally black pill you is what they do. So the applied sciences, we're now into the main fields, the applied science. So Kyle, what does STEM stand for?
STEM?
Yes.
Oh, STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
That's exactly what these guys are.
Okay, that makes sense.
Where they're in the field and they're going out, they're building stuff. Every single one of them is an engineer. And they'll go out and they build the stuff and they say, hey, we have a mission. Here's this crazy thing that we built for it. And they hand it over to you where, behold, it's a ray gun where if you shoot yourself, it heals you instead of killing you. No, basically gadgets like this, where anything that involves the life sphere with your Technocrat character, it was more likely built by these guys. Where, let's break these guys down. You have the biosphere explorers, where these are guys who are like the your Crocodile Dundee, your Crocodile Hunter, going around learning about how nature works, how animals work, how the trees work, and is there a way that we can improve this? Kyle, we have a bunch of algae blooming in this lake. How are we going to fix it?
We can introduce more fish to it to eat the algae.
And then the progenitor makes the algae-eating fish and throws them into the water.
Yep. And so they don't disrupt, and then they're small enough where that like the slightly bigger fish can eat them, but they're just small, but they're big enough so they can, eat enough of the algae and reproduce rapidly.
And all is good. They also have damage control, where were you wondering what happened to Phylaxoi? This is where they ended up. Where it's the same group, but these are guys that are medical assassins going after the Nefandi and the Infernalist. So imagine how that works.
Basically, so they're basically the security detail of the progenitors.
They're sniping you with a blow dart rifle that has this giant concentrated amount of fentanyl inside of it that shoots you from a distance.
Piece of cake.
The Deviancy Scene Investigators. So have you ever seen an episode of CSI?
I have not.
Do you at least know the concept?
I guess they're forensic investigator or like forensic scientists?
Yes, for the supernatural.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Specifically looking for werewolves.
Oh, okay.
Kyle, everything that we've done with Ends the Road and the rest of the pack in Ridge Cross Appalachia, there's one of these guys behind the trail.
Probably, yes.
And they're trying to decide whether or not it's worth going after these werewolves or not.
Yep.
What do you mean on the trail? You guys are loud as shit.
Yeah.
Well,
go loud or go home.
Well, that and that one Pentex representative have already informed the authorities that 2 wanted felons were in Fairmont, and there are several witnesses. Well, he knows he can't win against you head to head, but he could put you in compromising situations.
Yes. And then we have the medicines sans superstition, where these are progenitors that focus on curing the sick, who live in regions where medical care is rare. As in, these are people that are going out to places like Nepal, where they'll climb a mountain to give you medicine. And parts of Africa where they infiltrate the Peace Corps, and they're going around giving people medicine that's brand new, and they get to test it out on the African population. See,
That
and what's
seems
going on with you? What's
kinda
going on
fucked.
with you, African babies? Roll up them sleeves.
It's like, we're just testing on children. Don't worry about it.
But unlike the Sons of Aether, this stuff actually works the first time.
Well, they extensively tested it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be profitable, and the syndicate wouldn't want them.
Yeah, after all, the syndicate's going to ask for a shitload of money before you can do that.
Basically.
It's a charity organization, but who's going to pay for the jet fuel? And the packaging, where we have to wrap up the medicine in 3 different wrappers before you can use it on somebody.
Hey, look, relax. You can write it all off as a business expense for a charitable organization.
You can always go to the government that's owned by the NWO and beg for a write-off.
Yeah, see? Easy peasy.
There it is. The system feeds itself. Now, are you ready to talk about facade?
Yes. They were brought up a couple of times in the relationships, but
It
please
stands
enlighten us.
for Forced Adaptation and Clone Alteration Developmental Eugenicist. Your cloning department, Kyle.
Oh, okay.
And not only that, but the Genome Soldiers, Kyle. Have you ever played Metal Gear Solid?
Which one?
These are the people that made Solid Snake.
Oh, wait.
I have not, but I have seen someone play Metal Gear Solid.
Did they made
Oh.
Solid Snake or Old Snake?
We're gonna talk
or-
about the progenitors and their their cloning opportunity. You wanna know? You guys know the black shirts, the main fighting force after the hit marker?
NWO, yes, yeah.
You wanna know how you know why there's so many of them, even though that
Because-
majors are
Because
so
they
few in number.
clone them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's Facade who's doing it. Where
Mhm.
they take you and they make the gene baby, where they make this perfect genetics genome soldier, where he's got all the dominant traits of Big Boss, and he's got the brown hair, he's got that deep gruffy voice. He goes, yeah, whatever it's in the codec call. And
Yeah,
and he goes in and he does the CQC, he shoots the gun, and he lands a perfect headshot from around the corner, and he completes every mission flawlessly. And then they make this guy on an assembly line. And if he dies, we can scoop up his remains and make him all over again. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
this is why there's so many black suits all across the world, even though majors are so few in number.
Kyle, were you wondering what the progenitors were doing during World War II while they locked themselves away?
Well, I mean, we already know.
I was.
This is it. This is what they were doing.
It's like, well, a lot of
Oh.
people are dying kind of needlessly. What if we could clone them?
What if we could just make somebody who just didn't die?
Yeah, what if we just made I'll give an example here for a progenitors project. The immortal human, their special ability, and they were built with this one ability in mind. Really, really fast regeneration. I mean, like regeneration that outclasses werewolves regeneration.
You're absolutely filled with stem cells, and you have a really sharp immune system response.
Yeah, basically, to summarize it, they made it basically using life to put a stem cell organ in their heart, in their body, that just allows them to regenerate allows them to regenerate aggravated damage, regenerate regardless. Hold on, I'm getting too far with myself.
Yeah.
They regenerate one health level a turn, doesn't matter the damage type.
As in everyone else's turn, as in the same level of healing as a drone.
Yeah, drones
Yeah.
are bitches like that.
So, behold, the weapons of the Weaver, they get stolen by humanity.
Yeah, they
man.
still would not be able to beat a drone though.
Because the drone has got that perfect carbon fiber skin.
And
And they have-
two,
Hive mind.
yeah, true. And I'm just saying here that's just an idea of a potential made project of the progenitors.
And on top of that, Kyle, would you like to have 2 hearts?
That sounds rather inconvenient to put in my regular-ass human frame.
Here, we're going to make a 3D copy of your heart. We're going to scan it, and then we're going to do a surgery that gives you a second one, where you can pump blood faster, where now you can now work at such an intense heart rate that it can pump blood faster to your body, thus increasing the amount of oxygen production within your brain. Do you feel how healthy you've become now?
Well, no, I feel like I feel like my muscles can't handle all the strain of the extra oxygen and are now overloaded and overworked.
Then by extension, they start giving you a steroid that makes you this big, giant muscle man until you're at the point where you're like the Hulk.
That sounds
Johnny?
grotesque, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
Johnny, is this because we just played a Death Watch campaign?
Where it might be on my mind, but if they get really bored, when Facade gets really bored, they can turn you into an X-Man.
No. I just thought about this here. They could just literally make a Space Marine.
They could, yes. They're putting the Space Marine books out there. They're giving GW all this money to make the Space Marine books so they can eventually make one of those one day.
Oh, that's such a cool idea, though. You're fighting your werewolves and the Space Marine comes out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a that's going to be a slaughter.
That's going to be a fun fight.
You see, why are you spending all this money on the hit mark when you can just make the Space Marine?
Because at the end of the day, hit markers, even though there's now on their stat sheet, have permanent paradox.
Yeah, permanent paradox, and then I'm assuming it's also going to cost too much money to make the Space Marine.
Exactly. For example, here, despite how and I'm sick and tired of people who keep doing this shit, infinitely glazed mages. There's this thing called paradox. It's the giant thing that says, "I dare you to try."
Where you can't just have a robot do this in public and expect the public to go along with it.
Yeah. For example, here, for a hit marker, if for some reason a hit marker was to ever be deskinned, everybody saw robot bites, that thing would immediately get destroyed.
Where, Kyle, what do you think would be a more believable future for us to live in? Would it be Terminator 3 or Gattaca would be more believable?
I've never seen Gattaca.
Gattaca is a world where the designer baby becomes mainstream and everyone genetically modifies their child to be perfect.
Gattaca.
That's more believable, where the progenitors can get away with this stuff more than Iteration X can.
Yes. I mean, sure, we already have Grok AI and everything. That's quickly becoming self-aware, but it's not going to have nuclear capability. I don't think we're going to be dealing with AM. I think we're going to be dealing with a Brave New World kind of future.
And after all, you can just shut the internet off. Problem solved.
That's true.
I just want to say this here. That is already possible. We could already sort of genetically modify babies, but that is illegal.
Because you can't do that because it goes against the bioethics board.
Yes. Sorry for interrupting. I just want to make that clear. That is actually illegal to try.
Kyle, would you like to build your own baby?
Well, making is the fun part.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was right there. I couldn't help myself.
All right. The Gene Engineers. Let's talk about these guys. Now, I swear these guys should be doing what Facade is doing with that kind of name. Don't you think? But no, these are your professors, is what they're doing. Where they're going into sleeper society and they're slowly sneaking in this medical information saying, here's this new textbook, here's the new DS5, here's the new medical journal, here's the new consensus to what science and technology looks like. And they start printing that off where they're propagandists, basically, is what they're doing. And they're saying, here's this crazy thing where we've now revived the direwolf, according to science, and imagine what other animals we can do this with, aka the thylacine. And they start introducing where they already have this stuff made and cloned, but they need to put it into consensus first. So these guys are slowly bending consensus to work with what the progenitors have already got. Because the progenitors would love to get this stuff out of the warehouse as soon as possible, but Paradox is going to get in the way first. So that whole cancer cure, the progenitors have that, but they're waiting for the NWO and the Syndicate to give them the okay to release it, but they can at least try. They can at least cure some people's cancer. They can sneak the cure to some people while disguising it as other treatments. Sounds like a good plan, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think that makes sense for them. Just make it work.
And then lastly, we've got the pharmacology. For fuck's sake, this word. Pharmacopoe.
Here, let me. I
PHA.
wrote it down somewhere. Hang on. Give me a sec.
PHA-RMA COPOEISTS.
Pharmacopiasts?
Thank you. I could not do it.
I got you,
All
buddy.
A big pharma, Kyle.
Oh no, we're gonna get smited.
Yeah,
done.
that's all we're going to say. We can't talk about these guys anymore.
Yep. Okay, we can't do anything.
But they're also big food at the same time.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So if you want to know who's controlling your Pepsi Cola, it's these guys.
Oh, that
There's-
keep fucking up everything.
There it is. Where it's the syndicate doing that. They're saying the Progenitors are saying, "Hey, we made Orange Crush and we want to be able to sell it everywhere." And then syndicate says, "You're going to put petroleum runoff in it in America. Why? Because it's cheaper."
Yeah, that makes sense.
Great, right? Where I imagine just America just drives the Progenitors up a wall because there's just so much unhealthy shit this country does, and the syndicate and New World Order get in the way of it.
Yeah,
Where-
basically.
They're saying like, why do you not want people to be healthy? And that's something they just don't get. Where you imagine these guys are going to be like master manipulators, where it turns out that no, the Progenitors actually don't sell the stuff to Pentex. The syndicate buys it from the Progenitors and then sells that to Pentex. Is how it works.
So they're a middleman, basically.
And then the syndicate realized, well, that was a really stupid idea. But then the New World Order took over where they left off.
And now Pentex already has the recipe. They're like, you know what? We love making stuff out of oil byproduct.
It is, and we're going to use that to create the perfect host for an oil bane.
Oil Bane in
Amazing.
a bottle of Sunkist. That's interesting.
See, we now have a new segment of the show called Ryan's Company Reviews,
Okay.
where we've sent Ryan around to multiple
boy.
different companies. And all right, so Ryan, tell me what you think of these guys. See, we got multiple show companies with Progenitors. Some of them include Deep Green Thinking.
Yes.
Is a think tank in the University of Chicago that is all about learning how to improve the environment.
Good. Creative name. 100%. We'll say 5 out of 10.
See, we have Clark County Forensics Department, which improves CSI and forensic technology to the point where nobody can get away with any of these crimes anymore.
I mean, I get what they're going for, but the name is just lacking, so I'd say 3 out of 10.
We got Health Bomb Mobile Clinic, a bus
1.
that has your entire hospital right inside of it.
1.
There it is. The Health Bomb. Oh, it'd be a shame if somebody blew that bus up.
Sounds like Health Blob, and it throws off.
See,
Health and Blob don't belong in the same sentence.
San Mondo, guys that make pesticides that you can spray all over your tomato and it won't kill you when you bite into it.
I like the name, but it feels like it's supposed to be compensating for something.
It feels like it's a parody of Monsanto.
Yeah.
You know, when I worked at Home Depot and we got boxes of a bug spray and like pesticides and shit, we would call the aisle the cancer aisle because of how terrible it smelled.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would have except the Progenitors actually do have the weed killer that yes you could drink and survive. It is. Just imagine a Progenitor just doing that.
Just drinking straight up weed killer.
He just like drinks Roundup out of the bottle.
Jesus.
You think is he a Fomori or is he a Progenitor? We can't tell. Whistler Industrial Sanitation. Garbage disposal, Ryan. Where to go? They go to your forest, they go to your river, and they clean it up for you.
Interesting. Another green initiative. It's kind of redundant at this point. We'll say 4 out of 10.
And then Quality Assurance, a company that you pay that tells you how to spend your money.
Obviously 5 out of 7, 10 out of 10 would absolutely.
There it is. You pay a man how to tell you how to run your company.
Yep, there we go.
Kyle, I don't get it. I don't get what those exist.
No, they're not good.
And there are, and yeah, that's it for my segment. What do we have for relationships, Kyle?
Yes. So relations. Actually took my notes this time, but I didn't keep all the pages up like an idiot. So, what's weird is that they start with all the different parts of the technocracy, but they don't talk about the actual technocracy until like the end of it. But mostly that's just about cloning people. So, from the top, we have Iteration X. Iteration X always has a simple but effective prerogative for basically any issue. Exterminate literally everything you look at. They're always going to need bigger, nastier, and more enduring biological organisms to add more enduring cybernetic parts to. Iteration X and the Progenitors have sort of an ongoing trade agreement. They provide the genetically enhanced organisms in exchange for all of their tech equipment to run more experiments. And so they started growing, and because of their partnership with IX getting all this new tech equipment, it allowed Facade to start growing cloning tanks after they get the right genomes for all of the clones that they need to make. And then during the process of cloning, they introduce all these cool psychoactive drugs during their conception, so to speak, in order to induce the right amount of brainwashing to them. Facade engineers can either make single, made-to-order, purpose-built clones for Iteration X or identical clones, basically just in bulk. They have this large horizon realm that's linked by several portals to remote areas of the world where thousands of these clone tanks are held that can be activated independently within a matter of hours to generate an army of mindless, cybernetically enhanced clones. Certain lab groups receive plentiful funding from Iteration X with continuous shipments of Hipmark life forms, some of which are specially ordered, as we said before. But this also allows them the ability to create Hipmark duplicates of certain people involved in Iteration X plots. Usually they give the IX and other conventions the lower quality clones and save all the more high-end stuff for themselves. However, for the second-rate clones, there is the off possibility for the psychoactive drugs to not take the correct brainwashing effect. Therefore, they have built-in fail-safes in every single one of their units that sort of acts as a poison gland that will automatically shut down all cellular function within the clone at the same time. So they basically, IX is just, we build a lot of clones for them. That's what we do. And we build new body parts for them when they get shot off.
And Revised are looking at the Iteration X and said, you stupid motherfuckers, we had a good thing going and you're the reason why it's all gone to shit. Where Autochthonia has now been blown off into space, is coming back as threat null, and Iteration X is saying, oh, we're Iteration X version 2, and we're going to fix everything that we messed up. And no, you're still the same people, and you're not going to dig us out of the hole that you put us into.
So riddle me this, Batman. Is threat null basically just the necromorphs from Dead Space?
It's the Necrons from 40K, it's the Borg from Star Trek.
It is any other, mutant humanoid mind virus.
That's going to wipe out all of humanity when it comes, yes.
That's terrifying to think about.
And it's Iteration's fault why they exist.
I would love a book on threat null. I think that'd be neat.
Well, that would be awesome, but I don't think it's real.
Yeah, we should write one. The New World Order. Not a whole lot to say about them. They are primarily linked via the pharmacopiasts. The NWO, of course, usually focuses on the brainwashing and mind control, and the Progenitors are more than happy to employ all these fancy, useful drugs and poisons and chemicals of very high quality and very high power in order to do so. However, they also interact a lot with Facade as engineers clone replicants of certain important NWO individuals in order to, offset any delays from them being killed. The NWA's main prerogative is, while Iteration X focuses to have the world of technology, cleaned and sanitized and under perfect control, the NWO wants everybody's thoughts to be in perfect control. It's incredibly hard for Progenitors to not feel paranoid around them. They're kind of scared of the NWO.
And for good reason, too, because these guys have been browbeating and pushing them around for years by this point.
Yep. Very much so.
You're not even allowed to blow your nose unless they gave you permission to.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
And even though they're in a moment of weakness with the dimensional anomaly, the progenitors still won't say anything to them.
Yeah. Even though in the back of their mind, they're all thinking, we fucking told you. Nobody goddamn listened to us again. Anyway, the Syndicate. The Syndicate actually kind of likes the progenitors. The Syndicate own a lot of the business surrounding the medical professions. And, you know, as the population ages, the progenitors can manufacture new drugs to keep them alive until a total failure, which the Syndicate can sell to them. And then long diseases and birth defects are even better for business, which the Syndicate loves because then the progenitors can make more shit for them. And, you know, the increase in genetic testing has given the Syndicate even more control over everything that they can sell. And in turn, the Syndicate keep track of all of the progenitors' financial control and their bookkeeping. Though, should push come to shove, they do have a contingency plan to sabotage every single one of the Syndicate's businesses connected to the progenitors, should the Syndicate decide to turn on them and destroy their funding.
And once again with the Syndicate, the progenitors know better with the Syndicate and are going to say something to them until the Syndicate gives them a big stack of money, and then that shuts them right up.
Basically, it's like, you know, hey, look, so the project's running a little bit late, but I believe your quarterly projection reflected the fact that we could make a link around about 3.6 billion worldwide with this within the next, I think, 6 hours. If we were to get the funding and extend the project deadline by another, say, 9 months. Okay, done. Cool.
Yes. There we go. Just throw money at your problems. They'll solve all of them.
That's why I like the Syndicate. Like, of all the villains of the Technocracy, I like the Syndicate the most.
Yes.
The Void Engineers. They have very little contact, if any at all, with the Void Engineers. Though they do propose unique potential challenges of adapting life forms to space travel, and some of those experimental designs created with zero gravity in mind might have some alternate applications in different fields. They're kind of interesting, but they never really get to talk to them. And
yep. The Void Engineers are good people, but when was the last time you saw a Void Engineer?
They're all beyond the horizon, trying to keep Threatnol at bay.
It's the same things that the Syndicate said about the Void Engineers, where we gave them all these resources, we gave them all these gadgets, we gave them their shots, and now we don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the Void Engineers. Because they don't have to deal with the rest of the world, they can act like they're better than everyone else.
Where the Void Engineers are part of the Technocracy, but are they really? Because they're not really around for this stuff.
Oh, they're part of it. They need the Technocracy to survive because...
I mean, that's why there's only one book on the Void Engineers, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine just like, you know, Progenitor, it's like, yeah, we did like the physical for Captain Spencer. He's leading a group of Void Engineers. They're interesting guys. They're all talking about all this cool stuff they found beyond the horizon. Though he keeps saying that there's great disturbance in the deep horizon, and we're still not sure what he meant. And he asked for all these new armaments and stuff from IX, so we're erring on the side of caution. We gave them all some new organs, gave them some, physical enhancements. How long has it been since their last contact with the horizon? 5 years. That's not good.
It is. It's like the Mars rover, where the Mars rover sent that final message and turned off.
Yep, it's getting dark.
Yeah, and that's what it is with the Void Engineers, where that was the last message they sent you, and now you have no idea if they're alive or dead.
I can't wait for like one Void Engineer to manage to get the message out past the horizon before he gets devoured by Threatnol. And it was like, we're doomed. We're all doomed.
And then everything's fun. It's all your fault.
Yep. And then you just see like this shambling, friggin' mass of flesh devour him. And everybody's sitting there at the Technocratic convention just like, like Matthew McConaughey smoking a cigarette out of the side of his mouth. Just...
Kyle, you've
Any
played
ideas?
System Shock 2, haven't you?
I have. I never finished it, but I
That
imagine it's
that's a Void Engineer campaign.
that it is actually. I
Yeah,
gotta go back and play System Shock 2 again. It's such a good
that's
game.
a creepy game too.
It's a good game though.
I've watched. I haven't played it myself. I watched I watched a Let's Play of it, and I got freaked out watching it.
It is one of the best sci-fi horror games ever made.
Oh man.
Okay, yeah.
The Akashic Brotherhood.
Yes, the traditions. So starting off with the Akashic Brotherhood, their recent spread into Western minds is sort of concerning. It's like they're deliberately trying to spread the word in order to undermine the scientific method of the progenitors. They're trying to push this idea of mysticism and mind and body control as a way to improve oneself, and therefore are dangerous threats to reality. It's really all they have to say about them.
The progenitors looked at these guys and revised and said that the Akashic Brotherhood are out and out dangerous to our ideas because they just did this whole action movie scene where, oh, we got the Nefandi come after us with this giant snake demon. You don't mind if I do wrap grenades and TNT around myself and then jump off the side of the airship and fly into its mouth and blow up.
And then it comes out perfectly fine.
And then like you reincarnate and say, oh, and I feel like I've lived a life. I've lived a good life with that. No, you didn't. You didn't have to do that. You were so cavalier with your old lifestyle. What did you learn from that?
How to kill a Nefandi demon snake.
Yeah, that's it.
You could have just slingshotted a grenade into his mouth. It's not that hard.
You're not a genius. You're just an idiot.
Yeah, but it looks sick though. Anyway. Celestial Choristers. Well, what's up?
I was about to say, that's the thing with mages. As soon as you step in their particular area, it's all hands are off.
Yeah.
Yep, all bets are off. Let's go. Celestial Choristers. None deserve. Rap Red's gonna hate this. None deserve to be crushed more than the Celestial Choristers. Their ideology stands against everything the Technocrats believe in. They ignore the fact that the One is completely deaf to everything that they ask of him. The Celestial Choristers believe that a piece of God is represented as a mystic voice within everyone. And the Choristers want to reach to all of the piece of the One within everybody and pull it out into a discernible avatar. Conversely, the Progenitors want to sterilize the avatars of the masses and prevent that from ever happening. The Celestials have the most direct hand in fighting the Progenitors, as they constantly raid their labs and destroy their progress, as they see the destruction of the unawakened as a threat to their ascension.
Now, with sterilization of avatars, that sounds like a really bad thing, but how many of those avatars could turn into Nefandi or Marauders?
That is true as well, but, you know, it's you know, an either-or, not really either or, but it's like it's a roll of the dice with that, because even though, yes, there are always going to be the people that are going to lose their minds or be swayed by ultimate power, I feel like with an expansion of traditionalist societies within the world of darkness, there could be ample opportunity for, you know, more awakened to be pulled into traditions. The trouble is, all of the opposition and all of the potential faults in it make it an inviable option. So while ideally you would want as many, you know, traditionalist mages as there can be in order to help guide humanity, which I think would be a pretty great future, you know, like I know Hunter is the ideal, like, you know, humanity first apocalypse scenario, but mass ascension seems like a close second to that.
Mages are everybody says the vampires are very human-like, but mages are the closest to humans of all the splats, not including hunters.
And with the Social Course too, there are no progenitors that believe in God. They are ready for religion as a concept to die out. Where it's full on Emperor of Mankind shit, where they say, I want humanity to worship science instead of religion or God.
And then they worshipped him instead.
Yes.
Which makes it
Where-
even more funnier because the technocracy came from the fucking celestial course.
from legend. Like the good old NWO started off with religious roots and then dedicated its entire existence to stamping out those roots.
Yeah. Yeah, the celestial course. Look, I will say this here. The celestial course is my favorite, and the progenitors, even though you're very cool, you can fuck right off.
And I do agree more with how the syndicate responds to sleepers, because the syndicate was what's like kids in a candy store. They were like pulling people in and saying, "Hey, you want a job? You want to learn how to use this avatar for good use? Here's a job. Now go out and do what you gotta do."
See, this is why I like the Syndicate as the villains, because they are a very affable evil. They're like they just want to give people a job. There's still a modicum of creativity they'll allow you to use with your magic.
They're assholes, but they're at least give you a chance to join them, and you can do well for yourself if you do.
It's like, hey, you'll get a 401k, you'll make $75,000 a year straight out the bat. You know, we'll give you
a trip to Europe every year.
Yeah, we'll give you, specialized training sessions on how to better use your magic, and you'll be available for a quarterly review in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also ignoring the fact that if you survive the corporate world, which is also the syndicate.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's
well,
better
the
than
goal is
dealing
to
with
just
the
not
assholes
suck.
at the NWO, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. Oh wow, you can be the most powerful archmages in the House of Hermes. Just don't suck.
Basically, get good. Anyhow, the ecstatics. The cult of ecstasy is one of the few traditions in which the progenitors have some control over. The free drug use makes them much easier to infiltrate. Open-mindedness has a lot of effect on the masses, and most ecstatics will believe. Well, actually, all the ecstatics believe that their psychological foci allow humans to explore reality from different angles and do so through hallucinatory and magic-affecting drugs. The progenitors will freely allow them to use the drugs. The pharmacopiasts will use the ecstatics tool to dull the collective unconscious. Here, instead of this strand of weed that makes you more creative, here's a strand of weed that makes you just want to, eat a bunch of Twinkies and take a nap.
And then in second edition, you say, "I'm going to play some music for this bit." We'll say, "What happens if a social if an ecstatic overdoses? What happens in that case?" Well, what happens is that the progenitors come in with the EMT, the Williams clinic, and that's ecstatics on the bed, and they just come over with their clipboard. "Okay, so tell me, what did you take? Okay, now how are you feeling? Oh, okay, that's interesting. Now, how much did you take? Okay, good. Now, describe me your symptoms," and just like they'll go like checkboard by checkboard, going off of what the ecstatic did to mess up their body. I remember Victor told me, like he phrased it in a way that I knew what I was thinking, but I just didn't have the words for it. A wise man learns from an idiot's mistakes.
Exactly.
Where the ecstatics drop the ball on something, and then progenitors say, "Okay, so we learned not to do that, and this is why we're not going to do it."
This is basically like that green text of Grug and Droog walking through forest. Grug tells Droog to eat that plant. Droog dies shitting himself to death. Grug knows not to eat plant.
Exactly, that's their relationship.
That's basically what the progenitors do to the ecstatics. Here, ecstatics, try this. Okay, no, you can't take that. Gotcha.
So that's how much fentanyl you have to take before you die.
Man, that was like 2 ounces. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Anyway, dream speakers. They believe that science is slowly killing the world, and they're just kind of wasting their time talking to an earth spirit. They attempt to reclaim Mother Earth, pardon me. In doing so, they are in direct conflict with the technocracy, though they are rarely, if ever, organized enough to be a discernible threat to the technocracy. That's about it.
They're just waiting for these guys to just shut the fuck up and die.
Same thing with the choristers, basically.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole relationship.
Yep. Euthanatos. Hey, fellas, how you doing? Good to see you again. They manipulate humanity to their own ends, and their tradition turns them into psychotic serial killers. They remove people to provide more options for everyone else, basically. They believe in reincarnation and eugenics, very similar to the early pharmacopeists before the Technocratic circle. Though there is a doubtful hope that the Euthanatos will eventually join the Technocrats, otherwise destroy them on sight. I don't know why you think that the Euthanatos would want to join the Technocracy, because they would think the Technocrats are wasting their fucking lives.
In second issue, they actually spell out what they want them to be. The Progenitors want the Euthanatos to be a cleaning crew, where in the event the Progenitors just come across an issue that they just cannot solve, they can't cure, I'm sorry, we had our best doctors work on this, there's nothing we can do for you. They want the Euthanatos to come in and be the cleaning crew for the whole thing.
You just pull up the gloves like, all right, entropy the shit out of it.
There it is. Just make sure that there's no record of this. Nothing ever happened. We did not fail.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
They're like visceral cleanup simulator. They scoop up all the brains and the intestines and put them in the airlock.
And in case somebody knows too much within the Technocracy and they're about to leak everything to the public, stick Euthanatos after them.
Basically, yeah.
See, they have ideas for them. They say, Order of Hermes, nah. Euthanatos, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess wasting time on house stuff for Cuddy for.
We are a very useful group, Euthanatos. Hermetics.
The hollow ones.
Well, actually,
sorry, no.
I don't have the hollow ones in my book, so I'll let you go ahead.
I got hollow ones. All right. They say just fuck with them. Just do whatever you want to these guys. They're not gonna put up a fight. See, you want a human guinea pig to test out your medicine on, but on a mage? Here, we'll give you the pill that turns off your avatar forever. Here, come up and volunteer for it.
No, Donnie, these guys are nihilists. They're harmless.
Yes. And you just shove down the black pill, and that's one less hollow one you have to worry about. All right, send him on his way now. He's done.
Yep, easy peasy. Hermetics. So the Hermetics seek to turn magic into something easily learned, something that everybody can get a hold of. They refine formulas into a sort of real science, one teachable to the masses. And they hate the Technocrats because, the Technocrats are seeming to do the opposite. They want to, keep all the avatars, asleep and eventually destroy them. The Hermetics, meanwhile, are doing something similar to the Akashics, where they want to make, more people active, more avatars active. The Order of Hermes had a very strong grip during the Middle Ages, and then threw the Hippocratic circle out of its fellowship. The Order is not pleased that their old prodigals have replaced them, so to speak.
Just blew into my microphone. Sorry about that. There's a fly in front of my face.
That's all good.
Now, the Order of Hermes, in the eyes of the Progenitors, this is the same as, say, the Wendigo look at the Gallifenris, and the Gallifenris look at the Wendigo. This is a worthy opponent. Your battle will be legendary. Where the Order of Hermes, if they wanted to rule the world, they could have done it already, but their own elitism and superiority complex got in the way of that. Where it's a sleeping giant. The minute that the Order of Hermes gets its shit back in gear, that's going to be a very dangerous fight that's going to appear down the road. The Progenitors know that they won't be able to hide from this fight, that they're eventually going to have to do something about the Hermetics.
See, the more we talk about the traditions, the more I'm hoping that the apocalypse scenario is mass ascension.
Given how crazy it's going to become.
I like it. You know what? I think it'd be cool if we all had wizard powers.
We're slowly getting combination ascension.
I think I'd be a great Euthanatos.
See, the Sons of Ether, you stupid schmuckheads.
Yes, the Etherites. Pathetic pseudoscientists powered by pipe dreams. They need to be wiped out as much as the choristers. They're the graspings of the mad at delusionary straws. And their research usually just destroys them in the process. So basically all you need to do is hand them a manual for the cure of some virus and let them accidentally kill themselves.
The progenitors want to be there to put their boots on the throats of the Sons of Ether and stomp on their Adam's apples and pop their heads off.
They really hate the
these
Etherites
guys so much.
I mean, as we said, the Etherites are not good people.
Absolutely not. Now I'm tired of Macy Ascension fans like this being the most popular mage faction, and then everybody glosses over what they do. Meanwhile, the Gaffairs don't get a pass.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I mean, the
It's
same thing
what
happens with the Zamichi and the Tremere.
Well, you play as Zamichi to be a bad person, but the Tremere, they gloss over the Tremere too.
There's a lot of pick and choose with bad guys in the world of
that's
darkness.
What fucking irritates me so much with the Sons of Ether.
Yeah, they're not good people, yet you think you're just going to be a cutesy scientist with your copper glasses and your top hat and your cane with the little gear on the front of it. No, you're not. You're going to do genetic experiments on children you kidnapped. You're not a good person.
It's that meme of Buzz Lightyear in the box saying, "I'm a Sons of Ether mage that uses steampunk and ray guns," and then it's right next to every other Buzz Lightyear that says the same thing.
Exactly.
That's it. There's only one way to play a Son of Ether.
Meanwhile, I decided to, embrace my hooliganism and scoundrelhood and play a Euthanatos.
Yeah. See, it's fun, and now you're liking that decision.
I love playing as the Euthanatos, dude. This is gonna be sick. Anyway, Verbena. So,
they actually have more in common than they like to admit.
Yeah, they do. They very much liked the Verbena at the start, but the Verbena have just refused to progress. They're primitive, barbaric, and useless. They play in blood and dance around naked, screaming at the moon, and they fight the Technocrats with eco-terrorism and political activism. They are just a block in the road on the conquest of knowledge, and therefore have no place in the world. They hate the Verbena now.
To them, it's putting the pillow over their face and what they're going to do. Where, we wish we could live in a world where we could have worked together, but it's your own fault. The reason
this is James Sunderland in Silent Hill 2.
It is where I like in another world we could have been best friends, but you gotta go.
Yep, basically. And the virtual adepts. Traitorous scoundrels who betrayed the Technocratic Union, kill them on sight. We are currently working on building a nanotech virus that will destroy the virtual adept who connects to any international network. We're also introducing smart drugs to burn out the minds of virtual adepts as soon as they connect to a computer terminal. Yeah.
And also the virtual adepts, they have an axe to grind with the progenitors. Kyle, what was the reason why Alan Turing killed himself?
Because they found out he was a homosexual and killed him.
And no, they sterilized him with chemicals.
Yes, they chemically castrated him. He fell into a great despair, and then he killed himself.
And who are the people that made the chemical castrators?
Oh, definitely the progenitors.
So you see why the virtual adepts hate these guys' guts.
So Alan Turing was the original virtual adept.
Yes. And he was the one that was on the verge of reaching the Rat 10, and then they killed him because he was making too much progress.
Rest in peace. Alan Turing was such a brilliant man.
And then the progenitors know that the virtual adepts, they are going to come for them one day, and they're probably not going to be prepared for when that day comes.
But
because the virtual adepts they know all their secrets.
I will say, though, Alan Turing did leave us with a protege by the name of Christopher Strachey, who invented the world's very first video game. Ahoy made a very great video about that. Highly recommended.
You gotta look at all this old computer stuff, dude. It's really actually is a really fascinating topic.
It is. I got so into it in high school and college. Like learning about games history like that. Like I think it was the Manchester Mark II, where Christopher Strachey managed to build a game of checkers with a computer display and like a full set of controls. And, it was completed, I believe, in 1958.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
You had all this stuff earlier than you thought you did.
It was incredible. Anyway. Other supernaturals. They know quite a bit. Vampires. A few technocrats managed to escape encounters either unscathed or with concrete data. There are ancient tales full of bestial creatures that can feed off of human blood and use it to change shape. They are undead beings who prey on humans. They lead many curious progenitors to spend their years seeking subjects for analysis. And they've come to the conclusion that vampirism has some kind of scientific merit. They need to get some more concrete details about them. But there are a small group of progenitors devoted to vampiric activity. And they already understand, of course, they need to consume certain quantities of human blood. But they do still deviate from reality because they haven't found any scientific proof otherwise. And therefore, and also they feed on the masses, making them a threat to be neutralized. Mage blood, however, could produce some unexpected side effects if consumed. Further still, some progenitor contacts at the CDC have been researching the transmission of viral diseases through a vampiric contact.
And in second edition, they say that they're going behind the NWO's back on this one. They say the NW says that just leave well enough alone with vampires, but the progenitors say no. Vampirism is a disease, and we're going to cure it. Where imagine that, curing vampirism, Kyle.
I would like to volunteer.
Where turns out there is a cure for vampirism. It's called the Wormwood scenario in Gehenna. You gotta wait for that red star to fall out the sky first.
Yeah, no, that's not a cure.
It's a cure. You stop being vampires.
Well, yes,
That's
but does it
death, you
also
idiot.
kill me?
Well, he's not a vampire anymore, so he's cured.
Well,
That's
yeah,
basically the same excuse saying, how did we kill cancer? Oh, we just kill every human.
Yeah.
basically. I don't think it works that way.
Well,
There's no more cancer.
They just need to activate the withering, is what the progenitors need to do.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah.
No.
Where it's out of their hands, it's in God's hands, but
is.
the progenitors won't deny that.
Until they get smote. Anyway, werewolves. They are well aware of their existence, but they have gathered little concrete data. All they have are loose hypotheses and conflicting personal reports. They do know, however, that there are individual breeds of werewolves with varying abilities depending on pedigree. The ones that they've come across, however, are black spirals. They have found them as the most odd and also the most dangerous out of all of them. They do have some vague information about shape changers sent at the 1990 International Conference of Progenitor Sciences, or ICPS. A subcommittee known as DNA revealed several werewolves have been captured and examined. Small degrees of information before specimens and records were destroyed by other lycanthropes revealed that certain peculiarities in their DNA have been isolated but not yet analyzed. They are seeking more subjects for study to accumulate data, but the most interesting seems to be their immunity to paradox. They seem to project a mass hallucination suffered by the masses that prevents anyone else from knowing of their existence. So they're going to try to use lycanthropy as a way to, prevent mass paradox from using their magic.
That's an idea.
And for this paragraph in Revised, now I'm going to read this whole thing verbatim. In our server, somebody is reading a little bit too deep into this, so let me just read this out verbatim. Because their condition is not contagious as vampires are, scientists have been fret in their experiments with captured and killed werewolves. Which brings us to a very peculiar recent development. Several of their kind, from a tribe called the Glasswalkers, have approached us through a biotech research front company. Not only did they know it was a progenitor front, but they had infiltrated middle management entirely without us being aware of it. They made an offer. They'll cooperate and even assist in progenitor research of their kind if we stop hunting their kind and we share the last few decades of werewolf research. Hell of an intriguing offer. We'll see what comes of it. Not sure what their game is yet. Hopefully the combat amalgams will heed the memo to stop werewolf targeting missions. Where this is not a collaboration between Glassworkers and progenitors. The Glassworkers have found out about the progenitors, they've been compromised, and now the progenitors are forced to hand over the Glassworkers, to hand the Glassworkers their research, because the Glassworkers have figured out what they're trying to do. They're trying to cure the changing seed. They're trying to do what DNA is doing and nullify what the changing seed is. So the Glassworkers are taking that information and they're reverse engineering their cure, their sterilization of the changing seed. Doing stuff like you remember, Kyle, that only 1 out of every 10 people born Hamid turns out to be a werewolf?
Yes.
And this is amongst the kin folks.
Yeah, the Glassworkers are trying to reverse that. We're saying, okay, we think we know why this is happening. We thought it was some sort of wormish Pentex shit. No, it turns out it was the Progenitors doing it, and they're trying to break out of it. Meanwhile,
we
the
did mention
Progenitors,
that Magadon is working on that as well.
They are, and the
Yeah,
the Progenitors once again are clamming up about it because this is the same group that can't bring themselves to say anything to the NWO. So why are they going to say anything to a werewolf that, by this time, with the research on the BSDs, they know they cannot take them in a fight?
And this is why, in the World of Darkness, we don't go around telling everyone everything we have about each other. Because the moment you do, your element of being able to run away when fight starts happening disappears.
Because the Glassworkers do not want the absolute control over the world, the same as the Technocracy. They want absolute liberation to do whatever they want. So when they see big brothers like the NWO and Progenitors trying to step on their necks, they're going to slaughter every single last one of them. It's the Glassworkers swinging their dick in this entry in the book. And that they know, that they're letting the Progenitors know that at any point, we can get all the names of every scientist you have, and we can end them all in one night.
And to be fair, that's actually possible for the werewolves to do critical damage to one of the mages groups because,
given that the Glassworkers can just strangle you through a smartphone.
I honestly think that's one of the biggest Glasswalker W's I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's also pretty scary too because these are the same guys that are trying to strangle out Silverfang and Charlotte leadership.
Yep, that's the thing with to be fair, it was, I don't know why they thought it was a smart idea to fucking try to target werewolves because while they would never think they'll never find us out because we're so smart.
It's not these guys are going to clap back against you in some way.
Well, the thing is that like most other, not just traditions, but also vampires as well, they all believe werewolves as very dull creatures. They vastly underestimate the amount of human kinfolk they have, and thus vastly underestimate the intelligence of their contacts.
Yeah, the genius werewolf.
Like every
I want to say this too. No, go on. No, go on.
Like every now and again, I mean, sure, there's a lot of Arun, there's a lot of people that just want to go out and fight, but then you have, sneaky motherfuckers like the Shadow Lords and the Glasswalkers that are built to infiltrate, especially Ragabash. You get a Ragabash random interrupt or Dias Ultimae and the Progenitors in middle management who have seen all the paperwork. And then Roy Hartley walks up to a Progenitor office and goes, hey, we know basically everything that you're trying to do, and we're going to give you a deal so that we don't immediately kill every single one of you.
And then he infiltrates and pretends to be a dead coworker, where now I have to go to the office every day with this guy in the same room as you, and you know who he is, but you can't say anything.
Yeah,
and he just sits at you, leering at you from across the table with a smirk on his face, like, go on. Tell me the progress on that project.
Yeah.
I got one here. Yeah, because look, have the werewolves done dumb things in the past? Yes, but have they been incompetent throughout their whole history? No, like they actually been relatively competent.
It's just so happens that the most violent and deranged tribes keep wanting to seize leadership for themselves.
That is true, and it's not like people. When I want to say this here, it's not like, oh wow, the worm is incompetent. No, the worm is smart. It's just hard.
It's two meatheads slamming their heads against each other's Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Basically.
It's hard.
Yes.
But, yeah, to be fair,
they're trying to put the square into the circle hole, and it's just not working.
And no, it's more accurate to say we keep trying to put the shape into the hole, but it keeps ripping the hole to shreds.
Yes.
I mean, we got it through, but, at what cost?
Yeah.
Where does the square go? In the square hole. Where does the rectangle go? In the square hole. Where does the half circle go? In the square hole.
Yeah, but that's look, and I want to say this here. I like to glaze. There's not enough mages, especially amongst the
Progenitors.
The progenitors should be trying to mess with all the werewolves like they've been doing.
They're scientists. They're not built for combat.
And they build organisms to do that for them, but the organisms can't fight on the same level as a werewolf.
And not
Yeah,
only that, the
especially-
Glasswalkers know there's a kill switch in them.
Yes.
Yeah, especially, I'm sorry here, but destroy technology. That's a universal get fucked.
Yeah. And the Children of Gaia, what's the level 1 gift with them? Jam weapon.
Yep. No.
Is easy enough. The amount of times I used that with Paris when I was playing as him.
Yep. It's
Or
funny. It's such a
or
funny
jam
gift.
technology. I keep bringing that up. I'll be safe. On this server, I bring up jam technology a lot. But to be fair, that's a universal get fucked technocracy ability.
It is.
It just reminds me of the guy that's got just like a semi-auto rifle, and he shoots the one round, and all the bullets fall out of the magazine, and the mag
It's
well
not
just falls
that the
apart.
gift- What makes the gift so terrifying is the higher technology, the easier it is on the difficulty.
It turns out that fighting somebody with a spinning rock on a stick was the best way to fight a werewolf.
Yep, it's like
Yes.
it's like you have somebody with a G11 rifle. You have a difficulty 1 to jam the weapon.
It can only drop to difficulty 2.
Yeah,
I mean, even still, the G11 basically is a grandfather clock as its firing mechanism. So anyway, there's a reason it never got adopted. And anyhow, mummies, mostly a rumor. There's some claim that they're immortal and have lived for thousands of years. One babbled about, the wonders of Atlantis, but it's mostly just conjecture.
Now, Kyle, let's wrap this bit up. But read what they say about changelings in particular.
Oh, read
Oh,
verbatim?
Yeah. Read that verbatim.
Gotcha. Let me get that, because like I said, I didn't pull the sheets up myself. They are in... Where the fuck did we put them at?
Now this
Oh, yeah, I
this
see
is
it.
crazy.
Not them. This one. Yes, that's the one. All right. So this one right here. Fairies. Yes, I believe in fairies. I have met a few by accident, and no, I'm not joking. They are dangerous creatures, and when they breach our barrier against the world, they wreak more havoc than any other supernatural threat, save perhaps the marauders. Their types are unclassified and uncounted, but they have been observed disappearing, changing form, and controlling minds among the masses. Some are affected, as the legends state, by iron, but a true scientist shouldn't count on that. Best to find some way of banishing them back to their world, if high-caliber firepower doesn't take them down first. Remember, these fairies are a danger to the masses and must be destroyed or removed. It is your duty, the duty of every technomancer.
And now, why would they say that about changelings, Kyle?
Because changelings are the ultimate reality deviant.
Because not only they're immune to paradox, they have the mist, where every spell that changeling just did, you forgot they ever did it.
Yep. It's like Peter Pan. It's like wake up from a dream.
Now,
it's not like delirium. It can work on other supernatural creatures. They could just forget that you did things.
if a werewolf gets into the dreaming, he'll forget about what happened in the dreaming.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, he needs to lose his enchantment. Like, he needs to be enchanted to not lose his mind, but the enchantment can still be lost.
I think
He'll just
Yeah.
forget what.
I think the only
If I were to-
exception to that is the Scepter Rip Van Winkle, I think.
Yeah, I say this because like Fiona have a connection with the fair. My point is, it depends on the degree of. It depends.
Now,
With most
now,
of
what
my
makes changeling so dangerous, Greed? Recite what we were doing in that changeling game.
The changing game. To be fair, no one there was trying to get broken. But okay, now then, using your rules, where we do maximum damage,
We had
there's a spell called Holy Strike. You can get it at or the 5th or 4th dot of Dragon's Eye, and this is in 20th edition. It
Yes.
does my glamour plus my willpower and damage, meaning I can do 20 damage to you straight off the bat.
which is enough to take down a thunderworm in one strike.
That is
Mhm.
terrifying.
And if I take area with that, I can basically spread that across a quarter of a city block. Dodge that.
So you're a bomb.
Yes.
And then all the stuff you can do with primal and ledger domain. Do you want to transmute your body into being air so you can just you can just be the air going down a man's throat and you can suffocate him by expanding yourself in his throat.
So you can actually
just do
telefrag somebody as a fairy.
Or you can ledger domain somebody where you can just lift the sidewalk chunk that he's standing on into the sky and then let him fall to his death off the sidewalk chunk.
That's funny as shit.
At level 1.
Now then, like I said before, this is me. This is people being mid-maxers, and I despise mid-maxers. You can use metamorphosis at 5 dots to give yourself mythical traits. For example, I roll mythical, blah, 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 blah. I get 3 successes. I give myself the strength of Hercules, the strength of Atlas, and the speed of Zeus, meaning I probably have over 10 dots in strength, most likely over near 20.
As long as you have glamour or willpower, you can do this. Or you can unleash, where you don't even need to worry about glamour at all. You can just do this regardless.
Because it never says you can't stack multiple attributes with the same bonuses.
So, Ryan, you can see what they're saying, where out of all the supernaturals in the world, this is the most dangerous one. Because this is a being that can do Sphere 5 level magic without inciting paradox in public.
We pulled our cock out in front of one and then shot it in the back in an alleyway.
That sounds terrifying.
They do have limits. It's called banality, but unlike mages, it doesn't kill us when we get too far.
And you can easily shake out the banality. The paradox sticks with you for a while.
Yeah. Just make sure to regularly get glamour, and you can reliably get rid of your banality.
We'll just have a single point in the trod background, and you're fine.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah, and the final example I will give about change things, because I love change. They're my favorite splat, is Sovereign. For example,
Dominate on crack is what that is.
Yeah. So you know how fairies have or noble and beautiful things, right?
Yes.
I can use I think it's the 4th dot and 20th, or the 3rd. It's the 3rd. You can use Sovereign to order anything. Basically, you can say, your bullets can't hurt me, and the bullets won't hurt you because you told them not to.
Yes.
I'm
Giving
not
commands to inanimate objects is what you can do with it.
Yeah, you can give commands to actual concepts themselves.
Yes. Or at level 2, we can demand court to be in session, and you can just immediately end a combat encounter with that ability.
For example, here, this is, I don't know if it's possible, but theoretically, you can just say, hey, you talk to someone directly to their heart and say, stop beating, and fuck you.
So you see why. You see why.
Yeah, they're busted.
Like Demon the Fallen, it's purposely busted, but changing to Dreaming, I don't think they noticed just how quickly you can run away with somebody's powers.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had a hard time making fucking werewolf encounters.
Put a single Slua in front of us and watch how quickly we crumple.
Yes.
Yeah, we're different though. Chains to deal with each other. The same bullshit I just said can be done to you.
Yep.
Now, Ryan, do you have any spells? Let's see, dispels. Ryan, have you muted yourself?
I think he is.
I gotta open up my phone.
There it is. Right, we got Ryan. He's slowly turning into a zombie before our eyes.
Well, no, bro, been working, so
he's been twerking on the railroad all damn day.
Twerking on the railroad.
Oh my God.
Play the video. There you go.
There it is. So, yay. Here it is.
We're
Don't
worry about it.
We're slowly buffering. There's the audio quality. All
right. Let's see. Scrolling.
Page 44.
44. I was at 41.
Oh, sorry, 44. But yeah. So it is.
41.
You can see the crazy shit. See if I can
Johnny,
find
go ahead and say one while I get there.
There it is. We're gonna see if I can buy a copy of 13 Ghosts while we're doing this. Right.
Here's an example of a adrenaline increase score. Go.
Yeah. They have a ability. It's Life 2, Matter 2, Prime 1, Enhanced Drug. So you know what that drug does? You just make it do what it does, but better. Or you can create a magic drug with Life 2, Prime 4, Life 2, Matter 4, Prime 3. Where Kyle, name a drug, like what you want your drug to do, and you can just invent it.
I want my drug to make me skip the 8-hour workday.
Oh
Drug,
God, I fucking would love that.
It'd be
see,
sick.
we can now start playing New Drug by Huey Lewis in the News. Yes, you can make that drug a real thing. Or you can do create primescence drug, life 2,
Yeah.
life 3, prime 3. Now, Ryan, what does this do?
Simple. Shit. It's really small to read on my phone.
Zoom. You can zoom in on it. I swear to you, on the YouTube app, you can zoom in on videos.
See, I can't for some reason.
It is what?
You can zoom in.
Let's see. You gotta go to full screen, just do the two thumbs to pull the video apart.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yes. What the fuck?
It just kicks me out of the full screen.
Are you shitting me?
Hold on, let me see this. Spread them like you spread a virgin's legs.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
What? Yeah, but
Yeah, see what you got here. Fuck's sake. see here.
I lost the page. Go ahead, Johnny.
All right. It is a simple saline fluid that you just inject into your arm that gives you quintessence. Incredible, right? So if you just want, it lets you convert quintessence into TAS, and it takes the form of morphine. Incredible.
Yep. Just morphine. There you go.
See, Ryan, let that skip a few pages. You're going to notice when it's supposed to get crazy.
All right.
Which have to control a man's nervous system. You can do that with life 3, forces 3. How's that sound?
Yes.
It take our entire man's CNS and get him to do whatever you want. You remember the nano machines? That's in this book, by the way. The whole nano machine, son.
Oh, that's
Nanotech life support.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a matter. What is that? Matter 5, forces 3, mind 3, prime 2, and life.
I don't think
6,
it's that
5.
extensive.
But once that's in you, it ain't coming out of you. Where
Nope.
Ryan, this thing could do fucking anything, right?
Yeah, it's a joint effort of the progenitors, and the Iteration X has produced a means of virtual immortality by using nanotech machines. These tiny machines are produced and mentally attuned to the intended recipient and introduced into the body. They scavenge poisons, drugs, diseases out of the system and destroy abnormal cells and remove the effects of aging and rapidly generate damaged body parts. It's
Behold, immune to
keep you alive
disease,
forever.
immune to poison, and increases your lifespan. Basically, it just replaces your immune system with a much better immune system that can do whatever you want it to.
Yeah. And it can replace organs such as the eyes, eardrums, heart, or liver.
There it is. Now we have the drug encyclopedia. Ryan, give us a street drug.
Cocaine uppers and I got it.
Amphetamines.
Amphetamines. There we go.
Let's see, now how many of these have you done in your life?
What counts as an upper?
Caffeine.
Yes.
Not,
caffeine.
but it's not a street drug.
The administration is either oral, inhaled, or ingested. The effects, normal doses of the pharmacopious versions of these drugs temporarily boost the character's speed and alertness. Initiative difficulty is considered 3 while under the effects of these drugs. It's speed.
Essentially, it's the haste spell from D&D is what this will give you.
Yeah.
There it is. So if you want to create a cokehead progenitor, you can do that.
Sounds like fun.
There's blurring the line between them and an ecstatic, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, do be warned about an overdose because you will lose a health level if you do that.
Yep. Yes, you will.
Yep. It won't kill you, but it will fuck you up. All right. Let's see what's next. A hallucinogen. A hallucinogen.
Now, this can be either oral, dropped into the eyes, injected, or any other way that it could enter the blood. So the enhanced versions of these drugs actually expand the mental awareness of the user. It's pretty much what you would think. It's a
What
hallucinogen.
what you saw Freya Sanders doing in our Witch Cross New York game, where she was
Yeah,
able to see into the Umbra.
yeah.
Yeah. And allows you to see where the gauntlet is particularly weak, so you can just easily step sideways. The spirit sphere is very important to these guys. Let's see. Though, of course, you will need to roll stamina roll difficulty 5 to make sure you don't freak the fuck out while on this drug.
Yeah. Does the vivid hallucinations actually damage you?
Yes, because you'll believe that they're real.
Well, that and
Yeah.
it'll actually be an Umbra, so...
Let's see. Let's see
You
what...
will never fall asleep while on hallucinogens as well. If
Oh,
you're
never.
over yeah.
Yeah,
They
burn the
just
plant oil.
disrupt sleep, and a user can be distracted by the most trivial and insignificant thing, kind of like a pothead.
Yeah. Can you
So,
imagine torturing somebody with this too?
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, you have that scene from A Clockwork Orange where the guy's eyes are held open and you're dripping
Yep.
this into his eyes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And he's seeing Malpheus, that's what you're showing him?
Beethoven didn't do anything, he just made music!
Let's see, what's a drug made for mages? Cognition.
Yep. So it's mainly inhaled. The substance is stored in a small breakable vial. When someone wishes to use the drug, the vial is broken and the vapors are inhaled.
Like magic ice.
Yeah, it's kind of fuck, what is it called? Sleeping salts, smelling salts. That's what it was.
Yeah.
The user must then make a stamina difficulty roll 6. No successes increase the difficulty by 1. By 1, the difficulty of magic use.
Yes. It'll make your spells a little bit hard to use.
Also, your quintessence point is temporarily drained from each botch. And successful use of the cognition decreases by 1 difficulty of magic use without the expenditure of a quintessence point.
Yes. It makes your spells easier to use.
Yeah.
It is.
You can use multiple spells in a single turn with this one, right? Is what I'm reading.
Yes.
It's like a case book for magic.
However, it's very addictive. You need to make a willpower roll difficulty 7 to not get addicted.
Yes. Yeah, you begin to crave more of the drug, and each day an addict goes without the dose of cognition increases by 1 difficulty. I hate the way they word that. They increases the difficulty of magic use by 1.
Yeah.
To a maximum of 10.
I'm now imagining the enchanted crackhead casting spells on the side of the road.
I feel like that is like borderline marauder behavior right there.
It's what's going to lead to becoming one.
Wait, hold on. When will we ever cover Marauders? Because they're a fucking
that's
trip.
later down the line. Don't worry about it.
Aw.
Yes. The smart drug.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
The smart drug, the things that make you smart, technically are also considered an upper.
Yeah.
Hold on. I just want to make this one comment. Here, take this for depression. Oh man, I'm just depression, but faster.
That's not smart
Yep.
drugs. That's feel better drugs.
I've been drinking smart water my whole life. I haven't gotten any smarter from it.
Oh, I'm still depressed, but I'm fast now.
Yeah.
So you administer these via oral or intravenous.
Yeah. You inject it right into your pee hole.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, hold on. I just realized something here. Was coffee made by the progenitors?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
These drugs temporarily add 1 to a single mental attribute, while simultaneously lowering 1 of the abilities related to the attribute.
See, it makes you smarter while getting rid of your wits. It makes you more perceptive while getting rid of your intelligence. It makes you more perceptive while getting rid of your wits. Essentially. So Ryan, what kind of what trade-off would you do?
So what I'm reading here is It lowers your intelligence for one of your intelligence, and then it'll it'll raise your intelligence by one, but it'll lower your intelligence based ability. So like history or anything like that by one.
Oh, I was reading it wrong. You actually, you're right about that, Ryan. Because yeah, it increases the attribute, it lowers the skill, is what it does.
Yeah, yeah. They just
Okay.
they weird shit.
Okay,
So
okay, reading comprehension. I messed up on that one. You got me on that one. Thank you.
that's all good.
Alright.
So a different form of the drug enhances each mental attribute. Smart drugs can go by various names on the street, but the progenitors lump them into a single category. The effect of one dose lasts for 10 stamina hours.
Let's see. Your stamina score. Your 10 hours minus your stamina score.
Minus, okay.
Yeah.
The side effects are when the drug is administered, the user must make a stamina roll, difficulty 6. Only if at least one success is gained does the drug take effect. A botched roll results in temporary loss of 1 point of the applicable attribute.
It makes you stupid.
Yeah. It'll lower one of your mental stats.
It's the stupid sauce Amazing Digital Circus. Amazing. All right. And then what's the stuff I can buy legally from the progenitors?
Oh,
Cigarettes.
That's next.
Why don't I smoke those so I can just do the steroids?
Yeah, you got steroids. You got the oral and again intravenous.
That way you inject it.
Yep, crazy. Definitely not smart.
Yeah.
Pharmacopists enhanced steroids allow a character to increase smart drugs, but for physical.
Yeah, essentially. It'll fuck up your alertness score, but it'll increase your strength score.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's going to have all the long-lasting effects of the real steroids, like giving you facial hair in the wrong place, and like hair in the wrong places. It makes your balls smaller.
Yep.
And let's see
You
here.
can also overdose, and you get uncontrolled muscle spasms, difficulties.
Control muscle spasms to make you yawn.
Yep. Of all feats increased by 3 for 24 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let's see. How about the nicotine, the caffeine, and the alcohol?
I love how they branded this all together instead of having separate, because it's pretty much all the same. Just some are more addictive than the others. I mean, they're all addictive. Anyway, some brands of these drugs have been enhanced by the progenitors to pollute the bodies of the masses and slowly destroy their avatars. The convention controls various companies using them to produce and distribute these polluted drugs among the sleepers for their own good. All varieties are very addictive and dull the mind over time, preventing the affected masses from having an imagination to believe in anything beyond the technomancer's versions of reality.
I think we got to kill this guy, Duck Leon.
And then companies like King Breweries get their hands on the recipes and decide to swap it out, killing your avatar with possessing you with a worm spirit.
There you go.
Yes. That's where it starts. There it is. You drink yourself stupid. You go out to be a wizard, but then you drink too much.
They don't call it whiskey dick for nothing.
Get whiskey avatar. That'd be a way to destroy the avatar of an ecstatic right there.
Absolutely.
My
I'm hooked up on the wrong
beer.
stuff. Let's see. How about the Planned Parenthood?
So they've got birth control and pregnancy drugs. I don't know why I can say that.
Yes.
Reputably created by a mage faction to control human overpopulation. Birth control and pregnancy drugs have a checkered history. Opinions differed. Some believe that the cult of ecstasy created the potent contraceptives to allow sleepers greater access to their sexuality, while others claim the progenitors control such drugs, using them to control the masses. Still, other stories credit the sleepers with creating these drugs on their own, as they have so many times before. It is believed the progenitors also use these compounds to detect and destroy non-humans born in the human population. This would include, in theory, the lycanthrope kinfolk,
There it
and
is.
people with fairy blood and demonic offspring, should any exist.
The fucking smoking gun, there it is.
They found
we
that
know what's caused it now. The worm has nothing to do with it. It's the progenitors doing it.
Hold on, wait, I wasn't paying attention. What do you mean by demonic offspring?
The demonic offspring, as in, say your demon the full-on Namaru character has sex and creates a demon spawn.
You know, I would say that I love Demon the Fallen. I really wish they made a Nephilim book. That would have been so great.
That would have been great, but you can't have those anymore because of the progenitors.
No, I know. I wish the game. I know. I wish White Wolf would have made that before they went under.
The devil took Viagra and it got rid of the Antichrist.
Anyway, so let me get this straight. They're trying to. The progenitors are trying to make a drug or something so that people are less likely to make demonic offspring.
Less likely to make kinfolk, less likely to make sleepers, their sleeper children become wicked mages, and less likely to have a fairy soul inhabit that body.
They're trying to make it resist against anything spiritual happening to it. I guess that's very possible. Just use a prime.
That's all you gotta do. You just gotta shut that shit out with Viagra and Plan B.
But that just sounds really damaging to somebody's soul.
I mean,
That's what it is.
Yeah,
but the progenitors don't care about that.
If they do that, they destroy your avatar or your changeling seed, and therefore you're part of the masses they can control.
Yeah, but that sounds really. I'm thinking this a little bit too realistically, but that's basically just shutting you down for any magical potential outside of being a mage.
Yes.
I feel like the main goal of the progenitors with all this is the destruction of the Avatar, not just for the complete control of society as the New World Order wants, but to make them eventually irrelevant. The progenitors want to make their job eventually irrelevant. They want to not have to do what they have to do anymore.
I completely understand what that idea and that concept behind it. That is a very dumb idea. This is why they're not in charge.
They're trying to get this shit over with so they can go back to helping people.
Basically.
No.
Well, no, not even that. They want to advance mankind to a point in which their job is no longer necessary.
I am the devil's advocate in this situation. No, the progenitors are. This is why they're not in charge. They are so locked in their own ideas that they will end up fucking humanity into the ground.
Well, yeah,
accelerationist.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Their intentions are they want to help people, and in doing so, got caught up with the technocracy. And sure, they have all the money and resources to do what they need to do, but the problem is that by making their job irrelevant and making this indestructible Ubermensch, so to speak, of humankind free from avatars or changeling seeds, all they've really done is they've basically created their own Weaver Ascension in a way.
Yes.
You've got all these perfect, undying, beings that exist in the world that just walk around, build stuff, consume, and never die, and never feel any illness or ailment, nor have any creative drive or any passion or anything. Actually, scratch that. Not even a Weaver Ascension. This is a Luciferian ending.
Yeah, you primed the world for Lucifer to come in and take control.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Changelings are the source of all humanity's creativity. They are the source. You are making a dead human species. You are making a human without souls.
Is where you got so wrapped up in trying to help people, you lost sight of the damage that you're doing, and you deny it when it's brought into your face.
Yeah, you're trying to make the perfect human, but the perfect human isn't perfect, you dipshit.
That's what it is. It's a whole Prometheus thing. You're not going to achieve the perfect society that you're trying to do.
Yep.
Yeah. I said before, it's said multiple times across every form of fiction and every novel and across real life. We are perfectly imperfect. Leave us alone.
It is. And Ryan, on that devices, Technomancer talismans, read what QAD does.
I thought we blew past that, so I closed that on it.
Well,
QED.
Yeah, the QAD. Yeah.
QAD.
Now, you're gonna lose your mind when you see this.
Went too far back.
This
QAD.
it is. This is crazy. This is fucking crazy. And then we get to talk about the Kaiju portion of the episode. Oh yes, you heard that right, audience. Let's see here.
These are
Now,
people. Damage control monsters. What page is this on?
shit, I went past it too. Fuck.
Ha!
I love this part of the episode. We're not editing this out.
No,
We're not editing
no.
this out. 48. All right.
48. I'm
Okay.
so far ahead.
There it is. It's helping other people figure out what the shit is in the book too. We're looking at first edition for this, by the way. I'm sorry I forgot to iterate that. I like the gadgets in first edition more than second edition. Second edition is the same thing, but it's cooler in first edition.
I love that. Quintessence absorbing device. QAD. It's a, what is that, level 4? I'm
Yes.
guessing some type of gift. Or
Oh, yeah,
something.
this is a device. You decide what the device looks like.
I got you. These machines resemble a respiration or EKG monitors typically found in hospitals. When the QAD is hooked up to a living body, not necessarily a human, the machine slowly siphons quintessence from the patient. This device is generally used in conjunction with the pharmacopists during prime essence. Through prime essence is not though prime essence is not necessary. That was a word. Prime essence is not necessary for this machine to function. The quintessence is drained into hidden receptacles
Yes.
or vats and stored for later use. When hooked to a sleeper, the QAD siphons 3 quintessence points per week. Holy fuck. Each week that mage is hooked up to a QAD, they lose 1 point from their avatar, while the progenitors gather 5 points of quintessence. What the fuck?
Incredible, right?
Fuck.
5 points of quintessence?
Yes.
That's busted as shit, dude.
Behold. And the power will just fall directly into your lap.
Johnny, would you please? Quintessence is useful, but it's not universally that powerful.
It's good to have, but that's still very strong.
Could this be my node?
Yes.
Sweet.
What are you talking about?
All right. And now we enter the Kaiju portion of today's episode.
Oh God, no.
It is. So Kyle, can we get Fred up on the screen, please?
Fred? Hang on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Fred
Yeah.
the Portal Guardian.
Yeah. If you could please zoom in on Fred, please.
Is
Just like
he-
zoom in and then zoom in again until we're right up in his face.
Okay, we're going all the way over here. This is
So
where
remember
we're
what I was telling you about how the progenitors were saying, hey, it's a really stupid idea that you're trying to do all this. The Sons of Ether are doing all these crazy mad scientist plots with making Jurassic Park a thing, and how it's just a massive waste of time. You remember how we said that?
Yeah, I vaguely recall.
Well, it turns out those progenitors are also doing that too. Where
They had some free time on their hands.
Yeah.
we start small. Where we have 3 examples of a small project, like Pander the cat, where he has no relation to Joseph Pander of Vampire, but he's called that. He's a black house cat who was engineered by Facade, by one of his students, to be a super smart cat. He's got a tongue of a frog, for example. His stats are Strength 1, Dexterity 3, Stamina 3, Perception 3, Intelligence 2, Wits 4, Alertness 3, Athletics 2, Brawl 1, Dodge 3. His claws deal 1 dice in superficial damage. And he has a tongue that has a Dexterity of 4, Strength of 2, and he has a Willpower score total of 4.
That's kind of fucking hilarious.
It is. And then we get into Emmanuel, the hairless Chihuahua, with a Perception of 3, Intelligence of 2, and Wits 3. where he has a bite that will deal 3 points of lethal damage when he bites into you.
Okay, what the fuck, Richard?
And
Tyler.
what? Yeah.
Kyle, just when you go back to Discord, just be careful because I 100% did not realize what that was at first, King.
What the
It
fuck
threw me off.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Huh? What are you guys talking
Oh, I'm not putting that on the screen.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
I just wanted to warn you.
Get that out of here.
It looks
All right,
like
all right, all
chat.
right.
Use your imagination.
How about this? How about this?
We'll call that a worm creature. Is what we're gonna call that.
I didn't know what that was, but I just wanted you to be wary.
But the thing with the manual is that he's got teeth that shoot out of his head and they extend.
Yeah.
And he also has a pair of bat wings that can retract in and out of his body.
Like a shark.
Yeah. And then you have Lady, who's a large, but relatively normal-looking Rottweiler. From the time Lady was a puppy, she was dosed with pharmacopoeia steroids that enhanced her physical attributes. How much? She has a strength score of 6.
What the
6.
fuck, Richard?
Yeah, that's a lupus werewolf struggles to reach that number.
Hold on, wait, hold on. How much strength?
6.
And what are they again?
A Rottweiler.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And how much damage does her bite deal? 7 points of lethal.
That's fucking insane.
There it is. How many health levels does Lady have? Well, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 levels of health.
I'm honestly surprised they didn't go with a Pibble.
It is, because the Pitbull wasn't as popular yet.
I suppose that's fair.
Yeah, see, this was back when the Rottweiler was the tough man's dog. Now Pitbulls are fucking everywhere.
To be fair, Rottweilers are still mainly used by a lot of people because they're very good guard dogs.
They are.
There it is. You don't want to mess with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
And-
I posted another something. It's not as cursed.
It's
looks cool,
less
though.
sexy. Yeah. It's here.
Yeah, see,
Johnny-
that looks cool.
There it is.
Why dare you? Why do you say sexy?
There it is. So, Kyle, here's our kaiju for today.
Yes.
The cephalopod released a Kraken, Kyle.
Oh wait, is that what King just shared, or is that something else?
No, that's what's in the book.
Oh, Fred.
Yeah. Where he's now a cephalopod, but this is something that they make. So, imagine, if you will, just any squid monster or octopus monster you can think of.
So wait, not Fred.
That's what this thing looks like. There it is. Where this is around the same size of a sperm whale. To give you an idea of reference for how big this thing is.
So it's just a giant octopus.
Now, what are its stats? Strength 12, dude.
What? I think you said all you need to say, but go on.
Dexterity 3, stamina anywhere between 2 and 8, perception 3, intelligence 3, wits 2, alertness 4, brawl 3, intimidation 4, melee 1, stealth 3, give or take whatever camouflage it might have, survival 3, linguistics 1, and demolition 2.
Wait, hold on. It has $1 linguistics.
It can speak.
Oh, what the fuck?
So this
And
is
it
the
can
final
read.
boss of our Vampirates game.
And it can write on top of that.
I want to say this now. I just want to say this now. Don't fuck with a vampire who would max out potency. That thing could probably rip this Kraken in half. To be fair,
It could. But still, Maxwell and our disco game is still going to have to hit this thing twice.
we're not using your dumbass rules of maximum damage.
It's potence, that all the same, dude. But
Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
its attacks include tentacles, a beak, jet propulsion, where this thing can just speed up and move 40 miles an hour through deep water. Chromatophorus, where his skin contains this chameleon gland where he can just disguise himself as whatever he wants to put his body up against to. Slow regeneration, where if you cut off a tentacle, he'll just grow it right back in a week. If you cut off one of those tentacles, by the way, it has a mind of its own and will attack you. He has an armor rating, by the way,
Okay.
where it's behold, he has an armor rating of 2, where 2 of your attack dice is either extra soak damage or it's 2 damage negated every time you attack him. And an ink cloud that's just as big as the rest of his body. And 5 points of willpower in case you need to do any willpower rolls.
That's still relatively beatable.
Yeah. Next up, the Sauroids. Dinosaur people, Kyle.
So
Sorry?
the
You mean the
Macaulay.
Macaulay?
Yes. Made by science.
Hold on. That means my deviant art Scaly is okay. That's stop.
Yeah, there it is. He's not a Macaulay at all. He's just a Sauroid.
So should I put that up on the screen then?
Is it? No. But
Hold on. Drop
so,
an image though.
no, wait, hold me on. Oh yeah, actually, yeah, that image is fine. You can do that.
Yep. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah, no. I don't think. I'll be honest here. I don't think Colt has something saved from deviant art.
No,
As-
I don't.
All right, so what are his attributes? He's actually not that big. He's around. He is Macaulay sized. He's meant to blend in with the Macaulay, but he's got a little bit of dragon thing going on with him. He has a strength of 4, dexterity of 4, stamina 4, perception 3, intelligence 2, wits 2, alertness 3, brawl 4, dodge 3, stealth 3, survival 3, smell 4, meaning that's a little boost they get to your perception score. So 7 dice if it comes to tracking you. Along with a little bit of heat vision they have. Attacks are bite 6, where every bite they deal will deal poison damage to you. 1 health level per success on that bite attack, meaning that poison might just out and out kill you on 1 strike.
Oh
And-
yeah. Just mention this real quick. If you're wondering what that image about that fucking green crocodile, that's a personal Mori I made. That's
Oh,
not
it
actually
looks
made
cool,
by
though.
Pintech. Yeah, that's a movie.
And on top of that, the Sauroids can disguise themselves. They can turn not invisible, but they can camouflage themselves against any hard surface.
They're ambush
Hmm.
predators.
And then we go 1 step further with the Dracosaurs. So everything I just described, make it bigger.
Man,
fucking
this is why
madman.
werewolves love them. There's so hold on. If I was a Get Ferris, I would love these guys. So many things to beat the fuck up out of.
There it is. They get to make the dragons through the fight, just like your ancestors did back in ancient times.
No, I am a Get Ferris. We fought giants.
So, what do these guys have? Well, strength 8, dexterity 3, stamina 8, perception 4, intelligence 2, wits 3, alertness 4, brawl 5, survival 3, scent 4, claws and bite that deal 10 damage, and they attack twice per turn by default. And a charged attack where if this connects with you, that's 12 points of damage.
So it just crushes you basically.
Yes.
That's
How fast
insane.
they move? They move 80 miles an hour.
What the fuck?
Running?
Yes. So they
Okay.
can
What
outrun the
book are these
Smora.
guys in? First edition?
Yes.
Okay, I'll look that up.
And
And
they
also, I
have,
just want to make. Sorry,
what?
go on.
they have
No,
360-degree vision where they can see everything around them. So you can't sneak up on these guys either.
Well, you can just get invisibility.
You gotta be
obfuscate.
you gotta be super careful.
See, and
But-
how many health levels does he have? He has 8 points of willpower and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 levels of health.
What the fuck?
Plus natural
He's
armor.
Yes.
How much armor?
There it is. At least 2 soak die.
Oh,
Wow.
I guess most of it went to attack level.
Yes, Ends the Road would need to hit twice to kill him.
There it is. And now, shall we talk about Fred?
Yes, let's talk about Fred. I want to talk about Fred.
All right, so Fred, he's on our. This is the guy that's on our thumbnail for this video.
Honestly, he's friend shaped though.
There it is. We stole this line from Aaron Jenner. We're using it now.
The fucking portable guardian Fred.
Where you already see his stats on the screen.
Yes.
Where his whole shtick is that he's this like seal dragon hybrid that the progenitors made to guard his their sanctuaries. Where this was, I don't think he was a man. I think they just made him from scratch.
Was
yeah.
he a seal?
Yeah, he's like a seal dragon, is what he is.
I want to pet him.
There he is. And he's just this chill guy who hangs around in the progenitor's lab. If you want to try and invade, this guy's going to drop out of a portal on top of your head, and he's going to jump onto your back and attack you. What are his attacks? You see the attributes up there. Alertness 3, Brawl 5, Dodge 4, Intimidation 3, Stealth 4, and Survival 4. His claws deal 6 damage, his bite deals 8, and his saliva reduces blood clotting. So if he spits on you, it acts as a blood thinner.
Damn.
Yeah. So there it
Oh.
is.
Just up here to everyone here.
So he's half seal, half
Look.
shark, half snake.
Yeah.
Look. I will say this here. To werewolves, this would be considered a challenging fight, but nothing serious. But that's by werewolf standards, not everybody else standards.
You
put this guy in
resist
front of a
toxin,
vampire,
you could
that's gonna be
probably
dangerous.
you could probably overcome the poison.
Oh, no, imagine that blood thinner effect going on with the vampire.
Oh,
It
that'd be
probably
rough.
wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't work.
If you're using Blush of Life and you're trying to infiltrate, all of a sudden that blood's just shooting out of your body and you uncontrollably.
Yeah, because vampires are mostly. That's the thing I wanted to bring to say. The reasons why poisons and venoms work is because they travel through your body. When your body doesn't, pump anything, it sort of doesn't move through anything.
And I would say, I'd roll as a dungeon master. If you fought this guy, it would double your blood point cost if you fought this guy after he spat on you.
Yes.
But you have to be Blush of Life for that to matter.
Yeah.
Of course.
Or use an ability that uses blood points to begin with.
Yeah.
So all of you Malkavian mains are fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would have bring this up too.
Yes.
Because I'm the master of being a little shit. You know how people have strength 9 and all that strength chart, right? That's how you
Yes.
could do naturally without rolling anything. Meaning you naturally at strength 9 could just lift a car without rolling. You could just do that.
Yes.
Not a single dice has to be rolled. You could just do that. That's what the chart represents.
What you know
Now-
about rolling?
Now, would
Yeah.
you argue for these guys over a hit mark?
No.
I would.
Yes.
But that's only because I
I'll-
want to feed it fish and give it pets.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about this more when we do our episode tomorrow, next week. But you can use plug and play on a hit mark and shut that down. You can't do it with these guys.
No.
Yeah.
That's true. I did bring that up about that you could really fuck up this Glasswalkers could really fuck up Iteration X sideways and stuff like that. But
And by the way, in second edition, the Trichomorphs got upgrades. They have extra stuff they can do now.
yeah, man.
So-
All right, I'll look up a
So
progenitor
on
book.
top of that blood of that armor rating, they also have cold blood, meaning that they're capable of remaining completely still for long periods of time and gain four extra dice to their stealth rolls.
And are invisible.
They can also
to
regenerate
thermals.
1 health level per turn, and they can have a pseudo hive mind, where it's called trap mind, where they all think the same thing instinctually.
Are you thinking what I'm
Again,
thinking?
but,
Hell yeah, I was made to think what you were thinking.
Yeah.
I just want to bring this up too. These guys sound really good. How hard are they to make?
How are they to make? Not very.
I mean,
Oh,
once you built one, you have the facade engineers to just do it again.
You
I
just
mean,
got,
that's a-
you gotta stick a man with the gene seed, and you can make one of these.
I'm just making this as an example because theoretically you can make a hit marker with 10 dots in every attribute, but those hit markers will be expensive.
Yes.
Yep.
Because with this, you just need to inject the guys with some DNA and let the magic sort itself out.
Yeah, I won't lie. These guys seem pretty good overall. I guess the progenitors have their own version of hit marks.
And then in the first edition book, there's also like a little sample like chantry you can use where if you're running behind on preparing for your mage game, you can just slap that chantry down and behold, we're finding progenitors now.
Yeah, because surprise, surprise, you weren't supposed to be the technocracy in older editions. You're
Yes,
supposed to be the
These
traditions.
guys are fucking evil as shit for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's not like the traditions are any better. Actually,
But
they are
you-
better than many.
But you can see it, like out of the every Technocratic group we talked about, the progenitors have been the nicest or the most altruistic so far.
Yes.
But you can still see how they got corrupted.
Very much so.
Have we talked about the Void Engineers yet?
Not yet. Where the
Yeah,
Void
because
Engineers
those-
almost exist in their own bubble.
The Void Engineers, everybody who's heard about the Void Engineers call them the most base out of all the technocracy.
They're
Because
just
they are.
enjoying themselves. They're
I
just having
know
fun.
they're not enjoying themselves. They're at war right now.
They used to enjoy themselves. Now they're not.
They went from just like the grinning Wojak was like, wow, I get to explore new dimensions in space. This is cool up here. They're everywhere. Everyone in my squad is dead. I hear their name. I hear them calling for me across the hallway. We're running out of supplies
hold
and
on.
ammunition. This is going to be my last transmission.
When the war engineer says, we just fought Cthulhu, you don't know if they're lying or not, and that's the scary part.
Where, but you can have a whole full-on Delta Green game with your voice engineers. Found out this was going on Earth. Go ahead, go out into space, see if you can fight it. Just see if you can fight Nyarlathotep on his own footing.
Jesus Christ.
So now that we've reviewed every member of the every faction of Technocracy, Kyle and Ryan, if I approached you and said that the next mage game we're doing it's Technocrat only, which one would you go for?
Syndicate.
Iteration X.
All right. Syndicate. Ryan, what about you? I have to believe he's muted.
I believe so.
I believe he's muted.
He's not muted.
He's back from the grave.
He is muted.
Yeah. Yes. And if he was to pick a Technocrat to play as, who would he play? See. Progenitors? You gotta think about this. You gotta think about it. You gotta rack your brain about this one. Let's see. Get that mind rolling.
What are the options again? Progenitors and
Progenitors,
Progenitors.
Technocrat, Progenitor, New World Order, Syndicate, Iteration X, Void Engineer.
Progenitors.
Yeah, Progenitors.
He wants to build people.
There it is.
Yeah,
So
I want to be able to take quintessence from people. I want the 5 quintessence.
Yes. Ryan once again figuring out the mechanics of a game and figuring out the meta build.
Yeah, but I don't play for meta. I play for fun.
Because Ryan will build a really strong character and then build a character around that.
See, I could easily play an IX with my IT knowledge, but I feel like playing a Syndicate would be just a lot more fun to just be a money grubbing asshole.
We'll make some money. We've got to
hold on.
Money.
Wait. If you play a Syndicate and you took life, you could literally say I have money in my veins.
Yeah.
See, the quintessence isn't even for me. I could sell that to people.
That's true.
Yeah.
The other
Get
option,
the racket going.
The other option I have is I could play a shell-shocked Void Engineer.
Yes.
That
Come back from space after seeing all that shit.
Yeah, he's just been put on temporary leave for his insanity and just has a progenitor around to give him antidepressants. He's just trying to spread the word around the rest of the Technocrats, like, you haven't seen the things I've seen. He's just like a really worn out Captain Willard kind of Void Engineer. Yes.
Well,
I just thought of something very cool.
You thought of something?
For a spell. A Syndicate spell. Prime 3 or Prime 4, doesn't really matter. Life 4, Matter 4, Gold Blood.
There it is.
Gold blood.
Your blood is literally gold.
See the
so you become Midas.
His name was Midas. Everything he touched turned to shit.
I am Francisco Scaramanga.
Imagine what that blood transfusion would look like.
Hold on, yeah, and I know the name of this. I know the name of the spell right now. The veins of Midas, or Midas's veins.
There it is. He's printing money. He's causing paradox.
That's not Midas. That's Fecus.
Yeah.
Is it?
I tried making a pun off Midas and feces.
Yeah.
Oh.
It is. He shits the money out. That's what happens to him.
Well, it's not blood transfusion.
Yeah. So, Cal, if you were running the mage game and there was Technocrats, probably would be NWO as well to go for, but Progenitors would be right after that.
Yeah, you'd want to play as the bastard NWOs.
That they control.
Well, I mean, you do claim yourself a despot, so it makes sense. Like I said, I would play IX, but it'd be too easy. That, and I would prefer to be a virtual adept in a mage game.
Where the Progenitors are very fun. Like, you can see why these guys would be very easy for somebody who's new to mage and you're playing a Technocrat game. That this would be what you'd want. This is what you want to recommend them.
Yep.
Yeah. And now let's talk about mixing splats. Let's see, mixing splats. Who's got an idea as to how to mix vampire and Progenitors together?
Oh, very simple.
Enlighten us.
try to cure vampirism and proceed to get your ass mauled for trying that.
Well, I mean, that's more of a generalization, but I would say that, Zamichi and the Progenitors would get along very, very well.
That sounds scary as shit. Keep that idea to yourself.
No, I'm not. Matter of fact, that's what you should do. Hey, we got this guy off the street that can mold flesh with his hands. Viggo Corinth at your service. Oh, no.
You think you recruit a Zamichi that's going to help you make organs and do all these different transplants, but as it turns out, he's leaving a little piece of himself in every organ transplant he does and is controlling these people.
Exactly. Worse yet, they just have him on. What was the name of that crazy doctor from the first BioShock game?
Steinman.
Yeah, he just becomes Steinman and makes just these abstract amalgamations. What the fuck is this? Oh, it's a Vosge. What the fuck is a Vosge? It's very, very powerful, I can assure you.
Let's see, I don't think we're done cutting yet. Here, lay back down on the table.
Basically, that's a terrifying thought.
And for me, I was thinking similar along the lines of the Nosferatu.
Really?
But who do you think would be pissed off the most if you heard that there's these scientists out there that are trying to cure vampirism?
Well, probably Nosferatu.
Absolutely. Where the Nosferatu have this whole thing where it's the family first and foremost, to the point where they don't give a shit about the Camarilla or the Sabbat. It's the clan first. So they hear this, they're thinking, "Are you? Hold on a minute, Smooth Skin. What's wrong with me? You think there's something wrong with me?" Is what this response would be.
Well, you eat people and can't go out in the sun. I don't know what to tell you.
It would irritate them so much because it's the body positive vampire, so to speak. So somebody's out here trying to fix me. I ain't having that. So
It's like RFK talking about fixing autism.
Yeah. Or the gangrel, where you have the crocodile hunter progenitor who's going out looking for the country gangrel.
Mate, I've told you 5 times now, and I think I have killed you at least 5 times. Stay off of my fucking property.
Yeah, I just love this idea of you try to say, all right, vampires are hurt by fire, proceed to tank the fire. Shit.
Yeah, and that stung a little bit, but you have to do better next time.
Also, imagine a conversation between your progenitor psychiatrist and your Malkavian patient.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh gosh.
Some quit, some turn to drugs and alcohol.
It ends up like Michael Myers, where you have Dr. Loomis saying he's lost cause, lock him up, don't ever let him out.
Wait. It's me like that one Spider-Man comic when Spider-Man had a therapist and his therapist needed a therapist.
Yes.
He kept talking about fighting men with tentacle robot arms.
You think I'm joking, but that is a real comic. Spider-Man went to a therapist. The therapist needed therapy.
I mean, I'd be pretty traumatized, too, if I was, a 17-year-old kid with spider powers fighting fucking deranged millionaires with, metal suits and blew up people up with grenades.
And people keep saying Bruce Wayne could just get a therapist and be fine. No. Have you seen Gotham?
Yes.
A therapist ain't enough.
The last therapist that worked at fucking Gotham turned into Harley fucking Quinn.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're right about that. But
all I'm saying here is with this statement here to get back on topic is the superhero life. You need more than just a therapist.
And with vampire, I got one more idea: the Assamites.
Why?
Where they hear, oh, somebody's creating a cure for vampirism. Somebody's trying to kill the vampires. Sounds great. How can we help them?
Well, we could use more vampires. Oh, well, fuck, you're talking to the right people.
Yes.
Hold on. The Assamites have limits. It's not like, okay, you say the Assamites hate vampires. They do, but they don't want to exterminate all vampires.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, it's like just get rid of them in North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Oceania. Leave Africa and the Middle East to us.
They don't know. To clarify here is when I say don't want to exterminate all vampires, they don't want to kill all vampires, including themselves. That's different.
It's just that nobody should have this power, and they got this heavy burden on their shoulders.
Again, part of the reason why the Assamites are the most based clan of vampires.
No, I don't. I remember. I'll be honest here. I don't remember much about the aspirants, but I'm pretty sure the aspirants don't want to kill all vampires.
That's what Hakeem wants.
Hakeem is a Hakeem is a little shit who tried to fight Kane and lost like a bitch.
No, that was a draw. That fight was a draw.
No, hold on, that's a lie. He got staked and left out for the day. Don't you even say that.
He came back as a sandstorm.
And like that's gonna do shit to Kane.
You can't punch every individual grain of sand.
Yes, you want to bet?
I mean, if anyone could do it, it's Kane, because he's literally the vampire.
Let's see. Werewolf connection.
Well, we already made the Glasswalkers connection and the Children of Gaia. However, I have a bit of a weird one here. So, we said during Clan Book Korax that, of course, the Korax and the Shadow Lords are inextricably tied. The Shadow Lords will take Raven as a totem, or Crow as a totem. But the Korax have some dirt about the Shadow Lords running genetic tests on bone gnars.
Yes.
What if the progenitors were helping them with that?
There we go.
It's unclear what sort of nature these tests are. Supposedly to create some super werewolf, but there's also no guarantee that they aren't borrowing, quote unquote, or strategically transporting equipment to an alternate location from the progenitors in order to run those experiments, and maybe even using them as consultants on these experiments.
Here's an example. Here's one. I said this as a joke, but this could theoretically work. The Galliard just hires them to make training foes for them. Look, I need my child to know what it feels like to fight a giant. Can you make a giant?
We have something in the Umbrella called the CERT. We want you to make that, but in the physical world.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we're going to pay you a big stack of gold for this.
If the funny thing is, because the Galliard, they'll be like, okay, are you sure about that? And proceeds to beat the fucking CERT's ass. But like, what the fuck?
Huh. We need more funding.
You got Attack on Titan music blasting in the background.
You better you get be like,
all right, Ryan, you go ahead and snooze.
Good night, Ryan. Thank you for joining us.
All right, peace out, dog. There it is.
Bro, we're tired.
From I got an idea. I got one. All right. So this is going to be a little bit bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Ratkin.
Explain.
I'm just thinking about this like insane chronicle where it starts off with a ratkin pretending to be a rat who gets picked up and sold in to become a lab rat. And he gets into Progenitor's base, looks around, and then when the time is right, he shifts into rodent's form, his full cross rat form, causes havoc, ends up going around causing destruction, and eventually finds a big vat chemical X and jumps into it.
Oh, that sounds scary.
And now you have this giant mutant rat going around, and you have to have the Werewolf Society solve that.
He basically turns into Burst Bruiser.
Yes, again. He turns. Yes, we get, but this time it's made by science instead of by magic.
It's like Martin Cena Pants playing fucking City Planner, where it's like this chemical plant, and I want to break into it and drink whatever funny liquids it produces.
Yes. On that same vein of thought, Macaulay gets involved and becomes Godzilla.
That's cool.
There it is.
That sounds scary.
There goes Tokyo, go Godzilla.
We get the Gojira Macaulay.
Do I actually get to play Gojira while I'm doing that?
There it is. We got. Let's go ahead and start a Rage Cross Tokyo game.
That would be fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and get Macaulay Gojira in it.
I mean, no. When we ever talk about Asia, I'll tell you about this idea I had for a Macaulay, but we're not talking about Asia now. Never mind.
See here. Mixing splats. Wraith. Yeah, anyone got ideas for Wraith?
Well, here's the thing. We actually didn't get to that point in the relationships, but I can bring that up now. Matter of fact.
Yeah, go ahead.
They don't believe in ghosts. They believe in entities that can occasionally pierce the barrier when aided by a traditionalist or another supernatural, and when done so must be eliminated.
And how about the progenitors succeed in making the pill for eternal life, and that ends up pissing off Sharon and Stygia because he's got no new labor coming in.
Yeah, basically.
There it is.
That sounds real bad, but
There it is. So you gotta have Sharon and his Reapers coming up, where you have to intentionally break the dictum mortem to get some new help in.
Hello, Vic.
Or here's an example here.
Yeah. Hello, Victor. You were saying?
What if, for this example is because Wraiths always want another body. What if they said they made the perfect body where you, as a Wraith, only have to pay a couple pathos every month, and you can stay in this body permanently?
Because the existence of a possessed humanoid is a deviancy from reality and therefore must be eradicated.
We cured death is what we did.
Yeah, no, hold on, no, it's not. They didn't do anything deviancy. They just made a perfect body that won't die. What do you mean?
Didn't people not dying? Wasn't that the whole premise of Cruelty Squad?
Yes.
Yep.
And then and you end up creating Cruelty Squad.
Yep. Life becomes entirely pointless.
You create gaslight districts is what you do.
See, the thing is, I need to unlock the DNA scrambler just to upset the balance of the game.
See, Changeling the Dreaming. Pick any Changeling. Any Changeling.
I can think of one. No.
The horny bastards.
I can think of one very simple.
Why?
In our Changeling game, we didn't get this far enough, but I brought this up constantly. Changeling can have kids. I forget what they're called, but Changelings can have kids, just like how werewolves can have kinfolk. They have their own version of kinfolk.
Yeah.
So imagine this one here: a Changeling's child goes in for a doctor's check. The doctor tests the blood, looks up. Why the fuck does your blood have rainbows?
And then,
oh, no reason.
Sir, I hate to say this, but your child is gay.
It is. It was born this way.
Now, what I will just say, I just want to make that quick comment. People associate rainbows with gay people, but that's not what the traditional rainbows represent. They represent a lot of different things across the world.
Yes.
And so,
that is true.
Just imagine like all the banality that every single thing the progenitors do drips with, and how
it's aids to them.
Walking into a progenitor lab is like a gas chamber to a fairy.
But on top of that, like all the products too, like just having an energy drink made by the progenitors on the shelf be around.
Oh yeah, no, that would be just absolute poison. I will say this here: Changeling would not be able to use their magic effectively. Could they make a Changeling magic bomb, then set it off? Yes.
Yeah. Where behold, we're going to create a bomb that's going to be so boring, everybody's going to die of boredom if you're a Changeling.
No. Imagine Mr. Crocker as a progenitor that's just on a revenge quest and genocide.
Or how about this one here? Here's an example on how they could actually work with each other. Let's say later in the future, and people say, I want this bio world filled with fairies, and because, a technology in this make-believe setting is so advanced that we can make our own version of a fantasy world, and change things use that as an excuse to go absolute butt shit wild.
There we are.
I mean, they'd have to get over the banality to get there. But then they'd realize how artificial it was and act as a trap for fairies.
Yeah, but here's the point. It won't be just banality, because to a person, this is a fantasy land. And because it's in a fantasy land, the banality is also balanced out by the glamour.
That's true.
Yes.
That, and if you get enough, VAs and random interrupts in there, you could probably mod the shit out of it.
Yeah, that's just an example where it's a lot more less just raw enemy and more like, this is a very weird situation.
It becomes the plot of Sword Art Online, basically.
Yeah. and
awesome.
And lastly, our demons.
They didn't say anything about the demons, so...
So Lucifer, this is perfect for him. You're basically making the world for him.
Basically, yeah.
You're going in, you're doing the devil's dirty work for him, and you tricked yourselves into believing that the devil didn't exist.
The literal road to hell paved with good intentions.
Oh, shit.
Exactly.
I just thought of an interesting campaign idea for the progenitor. I just did.
Go say it.
superhumans, super soldiers. You want to be Superman? We can make you Superman. You want to be Wonder Woman? We can make you
The
Wonder
plot
Woman.
of X-Men.
And
I
when
was gonna say the
everyone's
Plot of the Boys.
super, no one will
Yeah,
be.
no, that's an idea. No, hear me out. They make superhumans. That's an idea. They could just
And-
literally make.
So
wanna
we
be a
have the
superhuman.
boys, basically.
And then
Yeah.
they fight the vampires, the werewolves, and the mages for you without inducing paradox.
Yeah, that sound. And then what makes it funnier is that is a real thing in the world of darkness. Like saying, like, why not just do an all progenitor game, but you making superheroes, and you could be a superhero.
Is how do we build Homelander? Let's stat him out right now.
Basically. They were the real heroes.
See, I do like the idea. Agreed.
That is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
It sounds like a lot of fun. I would play in that, not gonna lie.
See, the cryptics and the Faustians will, of course, have what the progenitors are looking for. The reconcilers, I think, would be okay with the progenitors at first before beginning to realize, wait, you're trying to stamp God out of the equation. We're trying to get back in good with God, and you're trying to undercut heaven with your plans.
Basically.
And then the Ravagers, of course, the Ravagers.
We'll just kill everything they look at.
There we are.
Oh shit, man! This could work even
Please.
more.
Let's see, the final boss gets to be a demon.
No, I just thought about this even more. Paradox is just kryptonite.
There we are. Just you get a raw stone of banality to affect you.
Yep.
You could definitely do a comic version of World of Darkness.
You could.
Based.
That's why I love Sergeant Rage and his killing commandos so much, is because we could have just if White Wolf didn't suck as a company, we could have had that. It would have been awesome.
You know what's even funnier because there's spirits of everything in existence in World of Darkness.
Yeah.
There's spirits of superheroes, and it's even mentioned this in the book where the superhero spirit exists. A superhero spirit will just randomly possess a person and do some good, then just depossess them. Meaning, this is a funny idea. You as a vampire about to bite someone. Next minute, you're fighting Bruce Wayne.
Fuck, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Excuse you?
And there we go. I think that's a wrap for this episode.
So progenitors, they're neat. I like them.
Yeah.
And horny.
There it is.
Not
Now
know.
we get to look over this whole thing, Victor, and begin to realize how to progenitor.
Yes, you want the
Awesome.
you can customize your dick today.
plasmid that
I want my
it's just Viagra.
three-breasted women from what was it, 7 Crazy Nights or some shit?
Oh,
Yeah,
please
No,
stop.
Jesus.
No, get out of here.
Go like crazy nights.
Yeah, that
the
movie.
baby ass. Get.
Man, I fucking hate Seth Rogen,
I'm
dog.
the kind of guy who fucking hates the holidays.
But I want to say this now because I'm doing this on a server in a couple months. I'm going to look for people. I'm sorry if I'm taking over in the statement. I'm
It's
looking for
okay.
people to be. If you know what sorcerers are, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do an extraordinary citizen game, but you're extraordinary citizens on another planet.
Awesome.
That's kind of sick.
Based.
You have to get off the planet. I'm going to try to kill you.
Well, yeah,
Well, it's
it's,
like
it's
Escape
your
from
game.
New
Of course
York.
you're going to try to do that.
Yeah. I'm not going to get into it anymore, but to let you guys get the close soon. But yeah, I'm going to do an extraordinary citizen game, but on another planet. Get off the planet or die.
Sounds good.
Based.
Anyhow, yeah, progenitors are cool.
Yeah, there we are.
Auf
So-
Wiedersehen.
So next episode will be us going over the Technocracy and saying how are these guys going to put up against the glass workers. It's going to be an open table discussion.
That's really
It is.
Interesting.
okay. Now we're going to have to put that into segments. We're going to talk about actual narrative sense and then the cheese sense where everybody fucking min-maxes.
Exactly.
I will say I'm likely either going to be tardy or late, or tardy or absent for that episode, depending on how Mother's Day runs, because next Sunday is Mother's Day. So,
Got it.
I love
Yeah.
my
Alright.
mama.
yep.
Which is why we got an easy episode that
I
day.
love Mama.
It's,
Yeah.
All right.
Let's be fair.
Good night, everybody.
all right.
Night.
G
Have a
and
good night.
everyone.
Night.
Bye bye.